Nothing to lose, nothing to make me whole. You take your place up and cold, cold. Not everyone can be bought and sold. I'll take what's left of mine. Forget the wasted time. I'll leave it all behind. We're on different sides. Filmed in black and white. The stars never looked so bright. I know I'm a little afraid. I've never felt more alive. Awake while the city sleeps. I don't wanna miss a thing. Alone in the dead of night. Alone in the dead of night. Alone in the dead of night. Oh, I feel the love. Yeah, I feel the love. It's something we don't need to understand. Oh, I feel the love. Yeah, I feel the love. Let's just go, no, we don't need a plan. 'Cause I feel the love. 'Cause I feel the love. Oh, I feel the love. Yeah, I feel the love. It's something we don't need to understand. Oh, I feel the love. Yeah, I feel the love. Let's just go, no, we don't need a plan. 'Cause I feel the love.
You wanted me back to her. Too afraid cause you live in the past, baby. Every time we keep doing the dance, make me beg for it, let me beg it for you. You know I'm doing my thing and you can't stand it cause it's doing some things to you. Back and forth's only bringing you pain. Here we go again, here we go again. And I heard you say it's over every time. And you call me up in the middle of the night. So you wanna talk but you're messing with my mind. Cause you know we're done and this here just ain't right. 1, 2, 3, we can't be, but you still keep trying to want me to pretend to be friends. Cause every time you want me back again. 1, 2, 3, we can't be, but you still keep trying to want me to pretend to be friends. Cause every time you want me back again. Word around that you got a new friend. Is that your only way of making me mad? If so, why you calling me back, baby? Say you're over it, coming over here. And I heard you say it's over every time. And you call me up in the middle of the night. So you want
Welcome everyone to Face to Face episode 2. We're sitting here with IG's JackeyLove.
大家好，我是 IG 的 EDG 杰克。
The world has never seen so much hype follow a player coming into the league. They had you challenging Uzi on your first day of the LPL. But I want to know, what does JackeyLove think about JackeyLove's coming?
就可能是我以前就直播观众看着我打的可能比较好吧，然后但就是吹捧的那种过分了一点。
But your transition into the LPL hasn't always been that easy. You were the most skanked player in spring so far, and your deaths only came down by the end of the split. Can you tell me about your growth inside of the league?
因为前面的话就会突然莫名其妙死亡的话，就是感觉不会影响那个胜负关系嘛。然后到后面的话，突然暴毙的话，就会发现还是对胜负有点影响，所以说后面就会 pass。
No ganks going down the bottom lane, just 7 aggressive plays in the bottom lane. JackeyLove's gonna get locked down. No gosh, Arcade Chef not available, just...
After a historic spring split, you guys lost to RNG in a BO5. It was a heartbreaking scenario. What did you guys walk away with in that series?
就是因为当时小狗打得也太好了吧，然后回去看的时候确实学到了很多就小技巧，就是也就输了一场嘛，又不是没输过，就当一场就是很丰富的经验嘛，然后以后还是要打。
You just played your first international tournament at Rift Rivals. What was it like playing up against the LCK teams?
打 SKT 的话，就是我们是翻盘赢的，然后就当时给我印象特别深嘛，就是比较开心。
Hero's entrance, Ning should be taken down. Faker uses the stopwatch. It's some perfect timing as now. It's the jungler taken out. Tal is not going to get any resets in this fight as the slows now come in from Blank Juke, trying to get in there, but he's not going to do too much. Oh! 3-minute taunt and IG are on the board in the team fight.
You actually came from streaming to becoming a professional player. What was that transition like?
其实当时想打职业的时候也没想太多吧，就是感觉打职业感觉会比直播好玩一点，然后就来打。然后就是打职业之后嘛，就发现就是比赛场上如果赢了的话，就是那种开心程度，就直播里面是没有。
We've confirmed before this shot that you are indeed the best Draven in the LPL. What makes you the best?
玩得多，但是感觉自己玩的就是比其他人好，就是差不多这个意思。
If you're the best Draven in the LPL, who's the second?
没有。
So I watched a lot of your highlights, and you're one of the most brazen players I've ever seen. The way you play a team fight is you tank everything in the front, but you still manage to kill people in the back line. How would you describe your own style?
Forced to flash away Korn. He gets a taunt onto two. JackeyLove flashes away. A quick cleanse. Duke pins him against the wall. Korn goes golden. As you can see, Cat has joined in. Moyu looking to join in. He needs a target though. Rookie hits behind them. Look, he's found Korn. That's a lot of damage on top of the Requiem, on top of the rest. But Balan picks him back up. A double kill for Rookie.
感觉跟德莱文玩多了也有关系吧，因为玩德莱文就有一个特点嘛，就是装，就不管就是优势还是劣势，都是感觉自己很厉害，就这样。
What's the best meme surrounding JackeyLove?
我没有梗啊。
So Reckless recently benched himself because his team didn't need a marksman. What do you think about the current meta in the bot lane?
其实常规的话也能玩嘛，但是就有的特定情况下，法师还是能选。就现在 AD 比以前就难的一点就是说你要多练英雄了，就差不多这个意思。
Do you prefer the marksman, or are you okay on the mages?
我比较喜欢常规 AD 吧，因为都练常规 AD 的话，就是能看出优劣势吧。
Do you have anything to say to the balance team?
那还是早点改回来吧。
We have a Twitter question from Christy Torres. Thank you very much for your submission. Can you give us an LPL bot lane tier list?
我觉得现在来说的话，知道4个就行了。UZI、我、iBoy、司马老贼就够。
Okay, good. Do you have any questions for iBoy?
iBoy 香蕉好吃不？
A lot of unexpected answers from JackeyLove right there. If you want to find out about iBoy's answers, tune in next time. Jacky是谁啊？
不知道，教练嘛，就上场就说输了没关系。
啊。 为什么？
接着干。
你不是输本来就输了嘛，那你还在说什么？
你有什么问题想问艾博吗？
没有啊，
就问一个就好了，艾博。
ID 什么？
哇！
忘记。
最好的驱蚊方法是让我一直跟着你，这样的话蚊子就咬我不咬你了呀。
Scout 你好，我是你的粉丝，我想问一下，你这个赛季更喜欢用佐伊还是刀妹还是乌鸦？
英雄选择的话，肯定是看情况再选嘛，但是还是喜欢玩刀妹吧。
Scout 你好，我是你的粉丝，然后我想问你的问题是，之前你洲际赛上说，全亚洲没有你睡不到的男人，只有队友睡不到。现在我想问你，睡到了吗？
这是什么问题？没睡到，肯定我不想睡到他。
球球你好，我是你的粉丝，我想问一下，现在你们战队现在是有2个辅助了，你现在是比较喜欢和猫猫一起呢，还是喜欢跟发哥一起呢？我感觉你和猫猫在一起的时间会长一点，会不会对发哥有一点什么意见啊之类的？
我觉得发哥和凯特都差不多，然后发哥的话偏稳健一点，然后凯特的话打法凶一点。
那你平时喜欢跟谁双排呢？
都有双排吧，跟凯特双排的会多一点，因为我跟他认识很久了，也一起打过很多比赛，所以跟他感情会稍微好一点。
Lucky 你好，我是你的粉丝，我想问一下，你有没有比较喜欢的城市？还有就是希望主场能定在哪里？
这个问题就是我比较喜欢现真嘛，因为现真的那种就是看出来那个样子啊，你感觉就跟上海差不多。第二个，如果 EDG 搞主场的话，我个人比较想搞到那个深圳去。
我想上海就참好。
为什么会选择上海呢？
일단 상하이에서 오래 있었고 이제 다른 도시로 옮기는 것보다 계속 여기 있는 게 좋은 것 같아요.
Hello， 你好，请问你为什么总是爱嚼口香糖？你对口香糖是有什么偏爱吗？
没嚼东西感觉怪怪的，就嘴巴没有动的话。
宝蓝你好，我们是你的粉丝。宝蓝，如果唱歌有10分的话，你给自己的唱歌水平打几分呢？
然后我想问，因为之前杰克说，你和小明他都要嘛，所以说我想问你，你真的有拴住杰克吗？杰克在你面前真的是跪着的吗？
唱歌的话，10分满分应该有6、7分吧。
那你觉得 Rookie 的唱功如何
？Rookie 因为是韩国人唱中国歌，所以要加分吧。然后杰克的话，感觉杰克还是跪着嘛，可能还是我像跪着的那一边。
Miko 你好，我是你的粉丝，就是想问一下，现在网上有这么一个表情包，就是队里其他4个人在前面，然后你要在后面拼命拉住他们，然后说别浪啊啥的，就想问一下，事实真的是这样吗？然后担任指挥这么久了，有什么心得体会呢？谢谢。
有这样的时候吧，就是他们会打得比较冲，然后我就让他们小心一点、慢点，然后就担任指挥的话，就是可能自己就是对整个游戏的把控，还有就是去指挥大家都还要更加就去加强嘛。然后自己如果指挥的不好的话，就是还是会拖累大家。
Miko 你好，我是你的粉丝，我想问一下，如果就是包括在游戏里和生活上，如果娇娇不听你的话了的话，你会怎么对她说呢？
不听我的话，我就不想理她，然后让我干什么我也就不听她的。
因为刚刚过完19岁的生日嘛，然后希望我的粉丝能帮我许几个愿望。
平时直播的时候没洗头，我没有开摄像头，你们老是强迫我开摄像头。
你们可以在群里面发一下你们没有洗头的照片，让我也欣赏一下。
就 solo 过一次，我们 solo 了好像3、4个球，然后我都属于那种让着他的，因为他年纪比较大，所以我就让着他。其实如果真正跟他 solo 的话，他应该打篮球的话应该打不过。
哎，我觉得他没有让着我，我们确实 solo 过，然后他输了，就是都进了2、3个吧，然后最后还是我赢了。
就因为可能他比较义气吧，然后人比较好。黑客这样教他，然后我们就大家就跟着这样教蓝队。
其实这个答案就为什么管我叫狼队，这个答案就去陪练团的人才知道的。然后我觉得他说的不怎么就还好吧，就是他了解的那些吧。我选择黑客做我的搭档，因为毕竟一起打过篮球嘛，然后他也是打野嘛，就以后能多帮帮我什么的。大家好，我是战马王牌解说员 SNG 上单狼行。
大家好，我是战马王牌解说员黑客。今天你为什么要选我来解说战马王牌解说员呢？
因为我们私底下打过篮球啊，而且我赢了你，所以就选你了。
那我们今天解说什么呢？
解说一些我精彩的操作，但是我们要挑战一下用自己的方言。
好，那我们开始吧。你阿德是准备踩那个中路一塔啊？那么我晓得你个让路为啥要爆他那个 TP 值，为啥要爆他？那么那个中路 Q 上的啊？那么你让路 K 啥大着 EQ， 那么你晒他？我不晓得那个为啥他走位这么差？
你能不能
啥技能谁导的？
你能不能解释一下？我一句没听懂，你这什么家乡话？
我刚刚说的意思是我们这里拆对面中一塔，然后你第一个跑了，我也不知道你为什么跑的。
当时我说跑啊，你们不听，你们硬着来啊。
然后这里是对面走位太差了，技能全中。
简直是我 Q 的准啊，不是他们走位差。就这块儿，你说你打他，你咋还跑了呢？
我想跑啊。
那你跑，看肾给个大你就跑啊？
对啊，我肯定跑啊。
咋回事啊？为啥就跑了？
那咋的？我还跑还不行呢？
那后面对面5个人来杀我们2个，不是你为什么不告诉我的一个赛的在我们后面啊？
我当时拿餐巾纸去了。
告诉我他们都有闪现，哎，其实这波他们没闪啊，我也全杀了，应该5杀了是不？
你操作有问题啊！东北大老爷们就知道干。
其实你告诉我雷克赛在后面，我就跑了，我直接就跑了。就这块啊，我说越塔我先扛，然后我还没动手，你为啥就先扛塔了？你干啥呢？
哇，阿德明明是弄个失误，弄给刚我。
你说啥？我没听懂。
我说的意思是，这里明明就是你的失误，你还说我，你自己看回放，你肯定知道是谁的问题，这肯定是你的问题。
鼠标滑了，没 A 出来。
阿德明明是 SNG 打呀这么牛逼，弄个刚一有问题，弄自家明明是自家的问题。
我一句都听不懂啊，兄弟。给这个，往上，再上，左，再左，你慢点，再左，下面一点，上面一点，贴，就这样吧。
这啥？你给我的？
这不能说，这个，你能不能转？对，往上一点，往左，下面一点，贴吧。哎，我再往右一点，你直接后。
给我，直接贴啊，就直接贴。
往左一点，贴。哎，转过来，对，横着，对。往上一点，下一点，上一点，左一点，左，贴。往上，我贴吧。哎呀，我是不是要给看一下？还可以啊。
今天这些游戏玩到现在还是挺开心的，主要刚刚还说了一点上海话，很久没有说上海话了，感觉很舒服说上海话的时候。
然后感谢苏宁粉丝对我们支持吧，然后希望你们能一直支持下去，谢谢你们。然后夏季赛我们目标就争取能取得一个好成绩吧，然后先打进季后赛再说吧。
感谢收看本期战马王牌解说员，
我们下期不见不散，
拜拜，
拜拜。
任何路需要帮忙的，早点说，跟下路啊！你们前几等
帮我吧，求你啦！
啊，前几等小心点，我怕你们前几等出事。
我直接帮你。
好，
那等一下我们把你拿 MVP，你记得要说，其实我打不过他，但是中野比对面厉害，一直帮我，所以
中野一直帮
我这把才能拿到 MVP。
中野一直推荐帮我。
其实他们给了我很大的压力，我感觉他们这个新 AD 有点厉害，太强了。
行，
比肩 UZI，
你要这么骚的话，
比肩 UZI， 他给了 UZI 给我一样的压力。
越来越骚，越来越骚。
这句话是最恶心的，
越来越
最恶心的。
哎，这相信有没有这么样？哎，下路线，看了。
哇，没事。我想
他们可能会打，他们现在有没有到？他们会打，查你的位置。可以打，慢一点。可以打。就打前面两个，后排，后排都死，蒙到，把你们打进去，蒙到，左翼，蒙到，你们打不动。
赤环在 K 里吧，下班了呀，好累啊。
赤环再拿 MVP，这把 MVP 必是你的。
哎，我们大胆点嘛，打得大点的，我一个人拖2个人，你们那边就别怂。
我这个敌2个人可以 W Q 的直接开。
往前站。来，秒了，先出来。点打。可以打，死了！一波！追！
下班了！今天有人 C 啊，别送啊！
谁啊 ？OK，别送。
谁过生日谁 C 啊？
今天安排一下。
来吧，可以打。
打吧！
我大了，可以打起来！
门都没踩，
不用搞。
刀妹，先转别怕，蒙都没闪。
没事，
上蒙多，我嘲讽了。
能赢。
追吧！
可以追。
哎，中央，等一下开大，
我没大，没来保我挡下子弹。
看一下，
我秀，
先秀。哎，走，别死，
没事，
死了。
这波
追一下，
谁呀？不来了，这波我个人秀兄弟。
我
来，别用大。
哇！
小发条，回了。
这波我那么秀，结果招黄这样子，
还行。招黄大家庆祝一下，没事。
还可以啊，这波。
我可以抢先开团，怎么？
不用，你先等上单开。
下可以吗？下可以吗？来，
开不了人。
蓝枪，哎，我要，哎，慢点，
先出来，
打前排不行，
先打前排。
蓝枪可以吗？
等一下，看刀妹，
我叫教你，
看刀妹，
就那走，
往走，
他刀妹吧，我们上蒙多，哎，2连，
拉条大几个吧，combo 一下
，combo 不了，不能怪我大招啊。
来了，稳当，
别
跑一下，哎，
没事，能赢，看。OK， 蒙多，我要杀他，杀他！哎，救命！哎，
救一下他！
我有1分赶，
拆了。
OK， 拆吧。
哎，别追错！
什么？要干嘛？
杀这个！哎，别追错！
下班！
你不会再有下盘玩发条的时候了。
对，
我发条还行，这应该是你这一辈子职业生涯最后一盘发条。
别用大！
哇！哎，2连，知道吗？最后一盘了。
把眼排了。够大，我打出来了，逼到了。
你有大吗？如果他们还在推的话，我
有大。
我可以。你们看一下，给我大。
他没闪。 他打招好像好了。
哎，来一下吧，来一下，来一下。
他有大，他有大，他有大。我感觉你们一波啊，你们来。
来一下吧，来一下，来一下，来一下，来一下一波，来一下一波。
OK，一波，你们一波。30秒。OK， 刚 OK。能一波。Nice。突然死亡对面。
难受。
难受。有我玩的难受。
这个位置塔姆开车要去动发条这波没闪的，套上了虚弱，但是发条闪现过去还可以演这个位置，闪现的过进场打的伤害还不错，而且霞这波应该是可以收人头的。后续的话，下单的一个追的 TP 是被打断了吗？这一波要拉，没有拉到，这一波有机会，这一波拉到了，哎呦，这就是奎因厉害的地方，他可以越柱子，太灵活了，对。这样的话，卡萨稍微有点浪费时间了呀，他的发育可能就会落后于艾米这里。但是这一波也算是初期，哎呦，好难受。但是他的血量很低了，金豆这边还是得回家。哎，金豆这边回家很伤啊。对，好凶。想杀，哎呦，有了，哎，偏杀了。抢的4000点血，开大招过去，还有2000点血。1000点血下去抢到了，哇！可莉的抢到了大龙，而且这一波的话，EDG应该是强加这个团战，先把可莉的弄死。哈鲁这边有一个冲锋甲，对面这边被逼出了一个近身，但是有一个塔姆可以把他吃回来。塔姆吃回去之后，EDG 也不好留人啊，因为对方手太长，这边吃大过去，但是吃到了个塔姆，没可能选择要出来打架，因为你看背后的一个位置，他要盯着对方的后排看，岩雀又抢到大龙，而且这个位置直接是秒对方前面那个岩雀落进场，再抬了一下祖母这个位置可能跑不太掉，有一个塔姆可以吃回来，还好。这边他说追过去，闪电打，这一波是打到了后排，但是牙膏头一时间进场威胁 EDG 的后排，不让 EDG 输出。这是过得有点难受的，毕竟打一个消耗的乌鸦，但是这边队友来了，塔架控制住这个位置，乌鸦没有地方跑。
哇，你闪现走的话也只是吃卡米尔这边的一个大招，伤害好像吸上来了。
有金身还可以扎一下，哇，这波。卡米尔开金身，但这波要扎了，这个位置要扎了，扎死了！哇，这是面对对方的双人gank，直接1打2，而且反杀了一个。可出来，但是刀妹无法速度的走，这波所谓的大招没有放出来，而且后续这波还想追的，配合了九董的一个绕侧翼，直接切到对方的一个后排 C 位身上，先受到炸疗，而且这一波的话跑不掉了，哇，玉米杀疯了，这波要拿4杀了，哎，4杀被抢了。
Take a chance.
没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
That much more exciting as SMLZ with some coming in with the branded merchandise and looking awesome as they get ready for it, while Mako is hard at work preparing with the rest of his team for this matchup. Welcome everyone, my name is Dom. Joining me here we've got Rusty and Raz. And guys, can we get shoes with our name on it?
Hell yes!
Cool, yeah, that's really awesome.
Please, message to our producer, get us some...
Kick your feet up onto the...
I'm not going to reveal that information live on air.
Okay, let's take a look at the standings so we know the stakes of the game that's about to happen behind us. Rogue Warriors versus Edward Gaming are in the West right now. It's 10-2 for Rogue Warriors in first place. Just behind them, EDG at 7-5.
Yeah, now we definitely have to start with the Western Conference, and the reason for that is it makes no sense when you compare the standings to the East. The East makes a lot of sense. You know, you've got your top three powerhouse, there's some separation. When you look at the Western Conference, Rogue Warriors are the only ones who stand alone on top. EDG at 7-5 in second, are only one set away from Snake in third, and then you just go down the list. The separation is it's just non-existent. A pure scramble. Only real team here that's made a difference during cross-conference play would be TOP getting in that extra win. Western Conference have been struggling, to say the least, when it comes up against the Eastern Conference.
Of course, the Eastern Conference, as we've said, already showing some strong distinctions. 11-1 for IG, 10-3, 10-2 for RNG and JD respectively. But taking a look at today's match, Rogue Warriors versus EDG. It's the one, it's the only. All eyes are going to be on it because it's first versus second.
Yep, the best of the West between both of them. And even though we're going through cross-conference play, remember we already had that discussion of it's these two teams going up against each other in a special occasion for us here today. And so, funny enough, EDG took them before going to Rift Rivals, 2-0, cleaned their clocks. It was easy as pie, and then it seems like it's going to be a different occasion now.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, a lot has changed since that time, Raz. 4 weeks later, definitely fair to say that the tides have turned between these two.
Oh, they absolutely have. And while we say that these are two top-of-the-table teams, times might be changing for EDG. Now, after the loss that they had yesterday against JD Gaming, EDG are at the end of a 3-match loss streak. To be clear, since this team has joined the LPL in 2014, this has never ever happened before. That's how good this organization has been. Of course, there are a couple of gray areas when you go back to 2015, 2014, when there were still the best of 2 running a tie system, but this is the first time ever Edward Gaming has been off of the back of 3 clear-cut match losses.
And remember, this usually happens during the spring split is when they start having their experimental sets, so that's usually when it's in their poorest occasions. It's a summer split. And oftentimes, back then, they could rely on their core members, their core playmakers, their JackeyLove, experience in that front. Deft, you don't have to say much about that character. Now, new faces, new problems are rising for this team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the difference between then and now is always going to be that experience. And the Deft factor is always something that we're going to have to talk about. Deft was the late game team fighting insurance for EDG. And whilst EDG still have got their strength specifically through the mid game, the late game is the place you'd be looking at and saying, maybe there are some weaknesses now cropping up there.
So then let's get into that, because again, this is EDG. This is the winningest team in LPL history. And are we throwing up the red flags? Are we throwing up the klaxons? Is their time done? Are we ushering someone new? And if not, why?
Look, the early game is still spectacular. When they went up against Invictus Gaming last time round, their early game was so much better than IG. That was surprising. A lot of the analysts going into that says IG is by far the best early game team, and they got smashed in the early portions of it. Remember, IG ended up taking it in 3 games anyways because it just comes down to team fights, and EDG still don't have that game.
But that says a lot, right? If EDG lost to IG by winning the early game and losing the late game, when Invictus Gaming are a team not a team fighting team that's meant to be their weakness, that says a lot about the current state of EDG and their inability to actually hit those late game team fights.
That being said, though, their opponents on the other side, they're bringing in some pretty strong veterans as we get a chance to see some of EDG's weaknesses in action in those team fights.
So we talked about experience when it came to EDG in the past. Right now you could see issues starting up with Haro. A few times there would be Ray coming in these team fights, and this is just one example of many. So remember, this has been a rougher week for this team if we're comparing going up against team fighting teams. BLG, JDG, all of them have top 4 team kill participation rates because they're team fighting teams, and if they're going up against EDG, a true weakness in their front. That's something they failed at, and that's a good example of it.
And you can see that they have the tendencies to go towards champions like, say, the Rakan. You know, something that can provide them an immediate engaged source, because without that, they may be looking even worse. So ultimately, Mako has not been having the worst split by any means. He's still finding a lot of good engages off. Ray playing things like the Mundo and the Ornn, also doing the same thing and finding those engages. And it's not necessarily those 2 members that I would be looking at if I was saying what are the problems with EDG. There are a couple of other things that seem to come in play here, and one of them actually being that Hope played in the last set instead of iBoy, and he was a lot of the weaknesses in those late game team fights.
Of course, you contrast that with Rogue Warriors. On the other side, they're bringing in a lot of veterans outside of Kahlua. These are players who have been in the LPL for a very long time, and that initial crazy, chaotic, all-in style that was so signature of Rogue Warriors in spring now seems to be been solidified into something really terrifying, a very scary back-and-forth team that can pull out these massive team fights.
I actually think a lot of this comes down to refinement. Remember that this team had only formed in spring, so now they've had a full split to work together and really strut their stuff as a 5-man unit. And they're very cohesive now because in terms of strategical diversity, they know how to play every different lane. We've seen the 2 different styles of mid lane as well with Doinb. At the end of the day, it's all SMLZ.
Yes, SMLZ is a player you can play around later on in the game. Remember, there are discussions about who's the best or the second best, in this case, AD carry. SMLZ is someone that Rogue Warriors can back fully. Remember when this team formed in Spring Split, they knew that there'd be time to grow, as you mentioned, and ultimately it would be a show between Doinb, SMLZ, and Doinb has, can go towards the support of mid laners as well, so there's real diversity when it comes to this team.
Yeah, we've seen some really awesome stuff out of Doinb and the rest of the team, but like you said, it's this back and forth for Rogue Warriors that makes their team fighting so scary, that experience.
When they're far ahead as a team, the experience really comes through from one player in particular, Mouse, coming in with flank opportunities time again. Remember, a former EDG member really making the identity known when it comes to RW's team fighting. So from his point, incredibly well done to protect the side of Doinb and SMLZ.
Yeah, definitely need to protect those carries, and that's the thing with Rogue Warriors. If they're ahead, nothing slows them down, nothing stops them. But even when they're behind, Raz, it does feel like they've got the capabilities to come back into the game. And if it's a miracle that is required, it's a miracle that Rogue Warriors will find themselves getting. And I think back to the RNG set where they stole 2 Barons in a row.
Yeah.
Neither of the steals from a smite.
And
It's
EDG
insane.
suffered the same thing just yesterday against JD. So there's plenty of capability for us to see some of these hero plays. But on our screen right now, you can see the players are on stage and ready to get into this matchup proper. As we run through the lineups, first up, it's EDG on the blue side with Ray, Haro, Scout, iBoy returning, and Mako.
Remember last time we saw iBoy, a tilted face when he was 7 kills, it's 6 minutes into it, but ultimately they lost anyways. Now going on to Rogue Warriors team, Mouse, Flawless, Doinby, SMLZ, and Killua. A lot of eyes are going to be right towards that bottom side of the map.
You can't help but be excited to see SMLZ taking on iBoy. Just in terms of clashes between AD carries, they are the mechanical members of the team, and they are where a lot of the focus goes when you think of how the rest of the team
And we
plays.
just got to see the iBoy versus JackeyLove clash earlier this weekend, which gave us a sort of sneak preview. iBoy proved that he was better in lane than JackeyLove, even though EDG eventually ended up losing that set. Of course, you can't always raise the question, is that because Haro ganks bottom, or Ray always using the teleport down there, Scout roaming down there as well?
Is it because EDG always played a bottom?
Yeah, bottom-centric team.
It's funny enough, in that set against Invictus Gaming, that was JackeyLove and Battleline just dying 2v2.
Yeah.
So while we see that a lot from JackeyLove and Battleline, it showcases the strength that Mako and iBoy have so consistently. So it is you raised the proper question of it doesn't matter how far ahead iBoy and Mako is. Recently, they've just been losing anyways. And in due part to just some of the weird team fights coming out of iBoy. Last set we saw from him, it was just that he was so far ahead, but he was trigger happy. He just goes in no matter what. And so I want to see iBoy going up against SMLZ, someone who's actually incredibly patient when it comes to these team fights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, team fighting for Rogue Warriors is always going to be a big deal. And it is interesting to note that the difference between both EDG AD carries right now is the opposite problem as well. iBoy perhaps a little bit too happy-go-lucky, jumps in a bit too aggressively. Haro, too frightened.
Yeah.
In his last set that we saw from him was using too many defensive things at once, expecting reactions from his opponents that never actually came about.
Yeah.
So both EDG options in the opposite ends of the spectrum as well, both causing their own small concerns.
And hopefully we'll get to see these players enabled on some very powerful champions as the meta has slowly been shifting back towards tanks and larger picks. We're getting some more of these extended team fights, which give more opportunities for hero plays. But I think our eyes need to be on this guy on your screen right here as Ray. He's going to have to do some serious work against Mouse up top.
You're right. And to hit on your earlier point about team fighting, remember the top 4 teams in terms of team kill participation, WE, not a good team right now. Rogue Warriors, a team they're facing currently, and of course I already made a mention of it, JDG and BLG follows, and those are the teams that EDG lost to. They have to flip the switch here today because it seems like if it's going down that same pattern, it looks like it's going to be a difficult set here.
Well, now we've gotten into that pick and ban. We'll absolutely see if EDG can turn it on because they are at the end or perhaps the beginning of something for a first in the franchise. A 3-match loss streak. This has never happened before the team. And now this very well could go to 4 if Rogue Warriors continue their momentum. But already you can see Camille locked in right away for EDG. That does give a very strong priority to that Tom Kench for Killua, which enables SMLZ to do whatever he wants.
Ultimately, no power picks up just because Nocturne was banned by EDG, Talia, Aatrox, and of course Zoe, a tried and true pick towards Scout. That just means that counter picks are going to be incredibly important on Rogue Warrior side. Already picking the safety of Tom Kench and Trundle, that just means that they can actually hold AD carry in second phase for SMLZ.
And you know the one thing that really stands out to me at the moment from EDG as a positive thing in this draft so far is that they banned the Mundo away from Mouse. And when you look at the champions that Mouse has played in Summer at the moment, Mundo is his #1 played by a country mile. 13 games currently on Mundo. The second most played champion is Gragas on 3. So already, regardless of what Mouse picks for himself, it's not in the comfort zone of a Dr. Mundo.
We'll see what Mouse is going to take into that top lane or if they're going to save counter pick for Doinby in the mid lane, as they're now looking at the Orianna and locking it in. Now, we've seen Orianna's flexed into the mid lane, but this is a classic Doinby pick. If it goes anywhere, it's likely going to be towards him.
And I think immediately what you see from Rogue Warrior's composition is a lack of hard engage. So I want to see if the Rakan is something they look towards a little bit more in the bottom lane. I mean, not going to happen because there's a Tom Kench. That's where the real warrior is. It's going to be top lane specifically. So if he goes Gnar, then it means that Mouse does have to play incredibly well on the Gnar to find a proper engagement.
Yeah, I'd like an Ornn or something of the likes to be seen from Rogue Warriors on red side. So they've got the first pick here, being on the red side of the draft phase.
But take a look at that ban right there. The Kennen being stricken away means that Rogue Warriors might be looking for something a little bit safer in that top lane, knowing that that Mundo is taken. So
Kennen's one of the few champions that don't have a lot of counterplay to them, right? So with Mundo gone, with Kennen banned, Gnar does actually rise up in priority as a potential pick for Mouse. But I think along the same lines, Ornn can still be considered here. We'll have to see where he goes. Things like even Gragas actually get enabled by banning the Kennen.
And also, remember the composition EDG has right now. If the Kennen goes top lane, that's actually really insufferable to deal with the Shen ulti on top of him and the Camille ulti to just tag whoever's in there. SMLZ, remember Rogue Warriors last split religiously banned the Camille because Mouse didn't play it, and teams played it into Rogue Warriors so they can nail down SMLZ. It was a great counter strategy to the team, and it worked too often. So this time around, it seems like it's going to be left open, and Rogue Warriors will have to deal with it.
Now we do see a Varus ban, second for Rogue Warriors, as they're trying to leave that top pool open just a bit. EDG have the chance to continue to pair away some more of Mouse's picks, but iBoy with a bit of a grim smile sees that champion banned away. And like you said, Raz, last time we saw iBoy, we saw a bit of a different face when he was able to snowball a lane, but still lost the game to his side lanes. Can he recover his mental state against a very cerebral and mental player in SMLZ?
And so much top focus through the ban so far, but AD carries completely left almost untouched besides that Varus. And with a Sivir ban and a Varus chosen to be banned by Rogue Warriors, they just lock themselves in misfortune.
That's insane. There's not a lot of setup for the Misfortune 2 in teamfight, so if they're ahead, yeah, sure, Trundle Pillar makes it easier for them to just lock down that one person. I want to see something, some form of hard engage from Rogue Warriors. We've been seeing a lot of Malphite as of late. If you pick a Malphite here, you need to know what lane you're going up against specifically. Right now, it seems like it's going to be the Camille. I'd lock it down so it makes it so Rogue Warriors can actually rely very heavily towards that level 6 mark.
This is super weird in the draft for me, honestly, as well. Choosing to go towards your AD carry, giving the counter pick towards top lane as well if you choose. Now, Trundle and any champion ganking top lane is very strong into Camille. Jax is something if you feel like playing a counter in lane that we've seen from some players, but at the end of the day, he gets to see what his opponent goes towards, and Camille is now going to be almost confirmed in the jungle, both can flex.
This is definitely a call out to Mouse because when he's put in these situations, he won't go for the carry counter pick. So naturally, a few players in the league like Xiao will go towards the Jax pick. That's not who Mouse is in this situation. If he feels like he can style on somebody like Yugua, not going to happen here. He's going up against Ray. So locks down the Ornn. That is hard engage here and can set up the composition nicely.
Yeah, and even more than that, going up against his former team, Mouse, previously of Edward Gaming, made his professional debut as a support for EDG in 2015 spring, so only in 2018 has he taken steps. He's already completed the Revenge Tour in spring. Now this is just a chance for him to double up, pun intended.
And to be clear, my quarrels with Rogue Warriors draft was never the champions that they chose, it was the order with which they chose them, because there was an opportunity for EDG to take away the Ornn if they would choose as well. Now they've got the Gragas into the Ornn matchup. Rogue Warriors still get the composition that they're comfortable with in the end, but it's very peculiar in the way they went about it.
And now that composition is something that we're going to get the chance to talk about, as it looks like they're stacking up. They've got Ornn for engage, Orianna Misfortune for stacking up massive AoE damage. And we talked about the team fight terror that is Rogue Warriors. Well, a 5-stack looking pretty scary, but EDG on the other side, they've got some hard engage that might be able to pick that 5-stack apart.
And this is a composition for EDG that they are very comfortable with. The semi-global compositions, they're not one Nocturne away from just finding pure comfort. So sure, Rise. And then towards the Shen as well makes it so, honestly, EDG are not going to be looking towards their bottom lane. In fact, it's going to be Mako trying to help out top side of the map. A new face to EDG now, so they can play towards their carry and Ray.
Definitely a shift here from the Edward Gaming roster in terms of styles, and Ezreal very safe as a champion, so they're capable of doing that. But that's not to say that Rogue Warriors can't match that particular style in this one. When a Tahm Kench hits level 6, capable of roaming around the map, so matching that semi-global through the bottom lane, just the Shen can get there faster, and the Shen also provides a shield. So if you're looking to duel in lanes, Camille Shen is an example. If you find 2v2s in the jungle, very powerful.
100%. One thing that we do have to talk about is while the coach are going to be going to the back, they have the strategy in mind. I feel like with specifically how poorly Rogue Warriors' bottom lane has been playing it, that if you're iBoy and Mako and you could just have a hard winning bottom side of the map just based off trades alone, strategy moves, Ray can TP to the bottom lane, that's how it can shape up.
And Now, first versus second place in the West. Edward Gaming are taking on Rogue Warriors here in the Shanghai Arena as we load on to the Rift. Now it's about time to hear from the crowd and who they think is going to win this one.
Hey,
you gotta.
That's how you
win
battles. That's how you win debates. You just get the last word. At the end. Yeah. Whoever says the last thing wins when it comes to most verbal battles that you have with people. But of course, we're in the Shanghai Battle Arena here, and with the Rogue Warriors and EDG both being two of the most popular teams in the LPL, naturally we'll have a packed house.
And that's so surprising considering the Rogue Warriors, one of the newest organizations in the LPL, joining in 2018 spring, now already first in their conference over the winningest team in LPL history.
And I got to make a point of this because already we have a misfortune in our damn game.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Comet is what she's picked up. Ranked up E, has the Doran's ring as well.
I'll do you one better. Look at the Tom Kench's Keystone. And note that is a
fabulous
hail of blades.
Oh boy.
Tom Kench down in that bottom lane. So for the misfortune point that you mentioned, I actually thought that we might have seen a Dark Harvest MF. That's starting to rise in popularity. It's very strong and it has really good trade patterns that match how a misfortune likes to trade. So in terms of keystones of choice, I thought that may be the other option. Of course, Comet, very good for maxing E, not for maxing E, for leveling E rather, and getting guaranteed poke down through the laning phase, where this Tom Kench pick, it's not quite the Glacial Augment spec, but if he gets onto you, you're pretty dead, because he's got attack speed.
Exactly, that's why I feel a little bit worried for Mako in this lane, because ultimately the slow coming off of Misfortune E, the follow-up from Tom Kench if he can get his Q across, you're almost committed to a fight here. It looks like, especially if you get one more Q, and obviously you're in level 1, but you get to a point in the laning phase where Tom Kench is someone you have to worry about, not the Misfortune.
But that's the thing, against a Shen, this is a very good keystone of choice. If he taunts you, you attack him so quickly, taunts can't actually save your life from a Tom Kench. It actually empowers the Tom Kench to take you down. So I really like that keystone choice, specifically in this matchup.
Perhaps Rogue Warriors preparing an anti-bottom lane strategy for Edward Gaming, knowing that they do have to prepare against this team, showing us something new with this innovation. But elsewhere, we do see Doinby on his Comfort Orianna. We've got Mouse sitting happily on that Ornn into the top lane. What are we going to be looking at for this early game, fellas?
A lot of it comes down towards where Flawless ends up pathing, because on Rogue Warriors' side, they're actually going to be taking quite a long time with their composition. They should feel happy with the laning phase that they have, the range advantage mid lane, the Misfortune pushing up in the bottom lane, and top lane, sure, you'd look towards Ray versus Ornn. And Ornn would still have some push potential depending on if the jungle is on the top side of the map. So I would say Rogue Warriors, play it as slow as possible because the lanes favor you.
Yeah, definitely true. Of course, both junglers will be the biggest pivot points for the team's early game success. Haro having flash body slam is very capable of getting ganks off. And you have to think about what lane would he look at ganking. Ultimately for me, it is difficult to gank an Ornn lane, but the Camille so far with the current push is threatening his health bar. So it's always a possibility that you have to remember.
Oh man, you can see those Comet trades onto iBoy, even Killua walking up for a tongue lash. But like you said, there are pings top right now. Mouse less than half health and Haro waiting in the wings.
It's going to be difficult to coordinate. Here comes a massive wave, so here we go.
Alrighty, that's the tactical sweep. Body slam barrel. He's got flash, a double knock-up, a flash at first blood. Mouse,
oh my
one
God.
turret attack, but Haro trades it back. Take a look at this. Flawless is on the prowl, just on the other side of the wall. Haro sees this.
He should be able to get out. It's a lot of CC or just slowing from the Gragas, but the best thing about that is not only does he get the kill on towards Ray, the flash on Haro as well, so he doesn't die off of that. It was very hard to be able to set up that fight. And remember, Mouse hiding behind his tower, using his E for the double knock-up, crucial. They're going to double down here, but remember, no flash on Gragas.
You have to double down on this. You got the first blood bonus for Mouse as well. He got that first kill. Haro definitely behind enemy lines. The gank is well and truly on here.
That's the slam ready. Barrel comes down. Mouse is going to try to get out of this, but hook shot to the terrain missed. And Mouse is going to walk it back to the turret with his life.
That was the kill. Ray through. Oh no, the hookshot goes backwards into the minion wave, doesn't hit the wall, and Mouse is able to walk away. Now he's still worse for wear. It does force a recall, but that could have been a kill.
Uh-oh, now Flawless has found Haro. Oh, he's right there. That's the pillar. Like you said, there's no flash, no red buff either, so Haro holding on to the body slam, just walks closer to the train, and Flawless isn't even going to fight him over the scuttle.
He just doesn't have the top laner with him. Ornn was all the way back in base. Yeah. Otherwise, he would have doubled down. It's just fun to see. A lot of eyes are on Flawless in that situation. Whether he's going to get a CS advantage in jungle, this time he sets up for the play on towards Gragas. Gets a health advantage. I just want to see what Flawless ends up doing with it if he can press in now that Ornn's joined in lane.
And this is one of those fundamental things where Doinby is always out of mana when he lanes in League of Legends. Now he's got a CS advantage for himself, so that's the major thing that he always tries to forge through those lanes, and he's gone for the cleanse, not the teleport. So you'll find that Doinby, when he lanes in the early game, often out of mana and has to recall. So not only did Flawless not have a top laner, he didn't have a mid laner that could help. Scout had priority there through that TP, and that's just something that, you know, you'll see all of the time from Rogue Warriors that no one else really does.
Fairly standard for Rogue Warriors to play through that style. Already that push pressure has opened up a 15 CS advantage for Doinby and is now enabling Flawless to start contesting Haro. Remember, still no flash on that Gragas, and Orianna has now ticked over to 6.
And a lot of it is, let me help you, like help me. While I say that, Ray's about to get opened up on.
There we go, just using the Call of the Forge God for some trade damage.
And I make a point of that because Gragas, the best lane for him to gank is actually mid lane. Orianna is going to be pressing up, you have the follow-up with Ryze. Even with the cleanse, you want to be able to burn at least some summoners to set up for the next gank. That being said, the fact that he's pushing up so religiously and that Trundle can now track down Gragas at the Raptor camp makes it so much easier for Doinby to lane up against Ryze, so he never has to worry for that game.
Or more specifically, leave lane against that Ryze, as Doinby's roaming bottom.
Once again, very good at leaving his lane. Haro's just missed that on vision.
Oh, that's the command attack. The wave is crashing in. 3 caster minions. The auto attack. Shadow dash, but he's outside of range. And the ignite. Whoa! The flash shockwave on himself. Diving under the turret. Doinby finds himself the kill as Rogue Warriors bail out. Scout. Realm warps in, but Rogue Warriors already got what they came for.
That was so beautiful to watch. The flash coming through. Did not see it coming. Didn't expect it. Remember now he has to go back to lane without flash, but that's a proper trade-off. You get that dive across.
That's still a pretty picture painted there by Rogue Warriors. Tahm Kench eating him straight after when the turret aggro hits, and they are able to get themselves out pretty much untouched as an end result of that trade. And here's the thing, we're 7.5 minutes into the game, and I feel like Rogue Warriors have got this one pretty closely in the bag based off their early game success. And we're coming into the mid game, it's not going to be a sizable gold advantage just yet. But everything went their way through the early game because of misexecutions from EDG and Rogue Warriors consciously playing towards their strong side of the map. Starts with the jungler, ends with just strong counter dives from Mouse in the top lane.
And it's only going to get worse just because Ezreal very naturally having to build the tier now going up against a lethality user is just going to get rough within the laning phase. If the laning phase wasn't difficult before, it's only going to get harder just because he doesn't have the combat abilities.
Already it's a 16 CS advantage. Haro tries to invade and deny the red buff, just stalls it out for now as he's level 6 and Flawless is only level 5, but that Ray advantage in the top lane is starting to get a little bit bigger.
And I respect the reset there from Flawless as well. Doesn't take a smite battle because he doesn't have a smite. Ray, of course, being able to rotate does secure the buff, but Flawless doesn't take the battle, give over a free buff. It makes him spend a lot more time here, Haro, to secure the camp down, and that's time where Doinby is able to get his blue buff.
Rogue Warriors trying to play the tactical game through that winning lane in the mid and bottom, but EDG are forced to play through the top side, knowing that that is their only lane strength right now. 16 CS for Ray in the top lane, and he's about to get that teleport. Not to mention First Dragon is an ocean, so we might get a chance to see some skirmishing down there soon.
And I would expect for Flawless to be able to get there first. Now upgrading his Rejuve bead into the Tiamat means that he can clear much faster than the Gragas can. Something to watch out for, because if Flawless can get to the Scuttle Crabs earlier, has the control over the objectives, it's going to be on Gragas to really set the pace for his team, but he's finding that more and more difficult as the time goes on.
I will say that's where a little bit of it has been made up for by Scout's choice of itemization as well. Rushes the Boots of Lucidity instead of going towards a more defensive or sturdy item. So goes for the tier as is standard, follows it with Boots, and that usually indicates that you're going to be getting around the map more often, using those summoner spells as best you can and the ultimates to make some plays, and that'll help Haro out a lot.
That's usually how EDG ends up finding the early victories. Scout's been a lot more consistent this time around in the split, and a lot of it's been coming through in terms of the roams. Even his last Orianna game, going to the bottom side of the map, so he usually requires the push to be able to get himself out. He's being locked down in the mid lane, but the moment he finds one opportunity, now he has blue buff for himself, he ends up locking it down. So he can leave and help out the bottom lane.
Again, we do have to commend EDG for playing the early lane strategy that pushes well into their mid-game control. They just haven't quite had the opportunity to close out a series with that strategy if it goes to that late team fighting. That said, though, Rogue Warriors are denying that right now. So already EDG playing from the back foot just a bit, but that was the True Shot Barrage across 2 minion waves, the one that has just spawned. Might we see a little bit of movement out of the EDG bottom lane?
Makes you wonder what they would be moving towards here when their jungler and mid laner on the top side of the map threatening Mouse's health bar. You can see he has to use the Ornn ult just to clear the wave, and whilst he does successfully, that is an ultimate expended and a teleport going to be less effective from RW if they choose to make the plays.
And a lot of now challenges on Rogue Warriors is either speed up the play in the bottom lane so you can start trading this up, or be faster going top side. Obviously, the latter has not been chosen. It's going to be iBoy and Mako that are going to have to retreat in the bottom lane.
Looks like we're having a turret race. EDG send 2 members to Mouse. They dive. The Shockwave has found iBoy, but he buffers out with the Arcane Shift and will die to Doinby's command attack. But Mouse, once again left to the Wolves, nearly gets himself another kill onto Ray, but this is EDG pushing the turret.
You just see that Mouse is a veteran of getting dived. It just happens time again, and he's always making something up for it. In this case, it's going to be Scout that might have to base. He's going mid lane, but it's going to be hard if he matches up with Doinby. But end up being Rogue Warriors get the advantage, getting the kill on iBoy and taking down the turret early.
Now, obviously the mistake of Mouse is overextending himself in the top lane, but when you add some perspective and some context to this, Scout and Ray both had teleports. So if Rogue Warriors choose to make a dive in the bottom lane, there's a chance the immediate counter there from extra members was possible. So by having a fight on 2 different fronts there, Rogue Warriors ensure, if nothing else, they get the up-tempo trade, and Mouse has a tactical int.
I love that.
The tactical. Gotta balance it out.
We'll say, though, that the difference between both these teams when they end up looking for trades is that Rogue Warriors have to hard commit to their own strategy. You know, in this meta, teleport is something you have to go towards quite often. It's going to be TP on towards SMLZ, but of course the play being happened bottom lane, he's not going to be able to defend top.
And this is the up-tempo trade from EDG. First brick goes to RW, and they're able to take the dragon off the back. EDG answer with top turret, but then they also take the Rift Herald. Now, Rogue Warriors had vision of this. They had 3 members on that side of the map, and SMLZ and Mouse did have teleport, but still Rogue Warriors chose not to fight for this. That does put them back into a little bit more of a safer laning phase with SMLZ, though.
They're going to have to be reactive to the play. It's a natural point to them. And I think if there's one team in the league that you could trust to play reactively or try and look for flanks to stop the Rift Herald push from happening, it's going to be Rogue Warriors. So for EDG, the challenge is, yes, look for the mid lane tower take, but also get the defensive vision down so Ornn is not behind you and starts the fight. That's the problem, because now we're going to see a Misfortune ultimate that's going to rip you to shreds. So that's going to be on EDG to have eyes on Mouse.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for what it's worth as well, Rogue Warriors, the play should be obvious for them to try and react towards. Mid lane outer turret is the one that you want to break, because you want to free up Scout on that rise to have an easier time. Remember that he's on the rise, chose the roaming items, and has a teleport. So as he crests over to 11, they can make more plays, EDG, around their mid laner, and so naturally that's the place where you want to summon the Herald to break the lane.
And as the game goes on, lane assignments just favor EDG. Double teleport, solo laners, Rise, and Camille can be on side lanes. Camille works wonderfully versus the Ornn, that's obvious. But also Rise on side lanes makes it super difficult for Orianna to deal with. So I feel like at this point, if EDG can free up Rise, then it's going to be hard for Rogue Warriors to start to really place down vision that they require for these objective takes.
Well, currently that Rise is in the top lane, like you guys said, playing that side lane with the early boots. And we'll get some support from Haro just in case Rogue Warriors were setting up a fancy bait. But now most of that vision has expired around the mid lane for Rogue Warriors, and they're trying to take some control back so they can prepare for the inevitable Herald.
Yeah, so that's the big thing here, actually between both of the teams in the current state of the game, is the Rogue Warriors have got item spikes, and when you contrast that to their opponents, they're only just completing them now. So Archangel's finally done by Scout. He was sitting on components, so a big part of why he disappeared to the side lane, to make sure they're able to keep tempo and control in that middle lane throughout that time. So the play actually going to be placed in the bottom lane instead here by Haros. The rest of EDG have grouped up mid.
Rogue Warriors have to know what that means. That's actually freeing up Camille now. So what ends up happening is you get the extra wave pushed bottom lane. Mouse has to deal with that wave in a Rift Herald take, and you can have Camille now flanking through the mid lane. So if you're Rogue Warriors, either you commit and push Mouse towards the mid lane to stop that play from happening, but he loses waves bottom lane, or just find a creative way around it. Seems like Camille is, if she bases here, that's just going to be a waste of time.
gonna get a charge
Mouse
off
is
here.
still sitting here. Oh, the eye actually closes just in time, but like you said, Haro will be there. The minion wave stalls it out. Realm Warp from Scout used his own and True Shot Barrage on the minion wave. Rogue Warriors trade one turret for one. Shelly did get a second charge, but there's Call of the Forge God onto the minion wave, and Mouse breaks it down. Ray and Haro are still under this turret,
They
though.
are tanking it.
Yeah, I'm not really happy with the use of the wave there. They had their full members straight towards mid. They actually could have just moved Gragas and Camille mid lane to start challenging the mid lane outer turret. Remember, 15 minutes in the game, that's 5 minutes away from Baron, so you can actually start accelerating the game. Not possible now because you use the wave to try and take down bot lane inner.
Yeah, one of those fairly non-committal things there from EDG overall. They'll take the damage. I think a good charge in the bottom lane's great. The health of that turret is very low now as well. At the end of the day, Scout was also looking towards top side with iBoy, who threw the ultimates down. They wanted to deter SMLZ and try and make it an upswing in the game's tempo. At the end of the day, they still have the potential for that with a stone's throw from another turret falling down. But it is Rogue Warriors who currently hold the gold lead.
Yeah, they're setting the pace for this. And EDG are the ones trying to reclaim that control. As now Rogue Warriors group up. You can see Ray sitting in side lane with teleport, and so too is Scout. But just that poke and harass as the wave comes in.
And this is usually when a game tends to get a little bit messier because the Rift Herald is usually your key to the mid lane tower. Now it's going to be on these teams to try and engage to make that happen. Ray's really the only obvious engage tool, but he's going to be seen time and again. So it's going to be on, what, a Tom Kench, a Trundle, maybe even a Gragas, you could say, on the opposite side for EDG to set the fight apart. And EDG would naturally not want to take the fight because compositionally, Rogue Warriors are really the team that looks to take a step forward.
Well, speaking of this Gragas, there's no vision that spots him out right now as he's behind Rogue Warriors, but he's too far away to engage. Rogue Warriors just ride the next minion wave in after EDG's wave clear and break it down without even needing to force the fight.
Ryze was just not in position taking the Krug, so it just makes sense for the Ezreal, Gragas, and Shen to not want to fight that. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that and Ray, of course, being on the other side of the map. They take advantage here, Rogue Warriors. It's the sucker punch on their opponents before there's a chance to have any kind of counterplay. EDG, in their attempt to 1-3-1 currently, not by any means unsuccessful, but it is a slow ramp-up style where an opponent team can group on you immediately and try and make the plays happen.
I will say, though, they're probably a little upset about the map RNG. Infernal Dragon coming up in 15 seconds, so even though we mentioned 20 minutes for the Baron, game might be a little bit more accelerated by Rogue Warriors just challenging the second dragon.
But Haro's top side as well. They're not even going towards the dragon at all currently. They're trying really hard to get a playoff on Mouse. And now Mouse has got Ninja Tubbies and a Frozen Heart, and he's got himself a Kindle Gem. So if you're going to dive him as Haro and Ray, it's going to take a lot of effort to take him down.
And what a hilarious strategy from EDG to see them finally playing through a carry top lane against their former top laner in Mouse. So a little bit more salt in the wound for him as the Infernal Dragon is now taken by Rogue Warriors. He just has to rely on the team to make up for that.
Yeah, and it's just a point about what you're comfortable with. EDG definitely hasn't played with Ray as the forefront. He's primarily actually just been the team fight backup dancer, if you want to put it that way. So for EDG to try and go straight up hard into towards top lane, you can already see some of the decisions not being primed. For Gragas to be so heavily towards the top side when he doesn't have a Rise. In fact, a lot of their team is actually just coming back from base. So realistically, you're just saying, well, Shen's going to join you with his ultimate. So that's actually an incredibly difficult dive to happen when they have no wards on the dragon. So timing was messed up. Rogue Warriors just take that for free.
And that puts Rogue Warriors even more in the lead as they are still 1,600 gold ahead. Not too much in the grand scheme of things as iBoy is trying to catch up by finishing off that Triforce to match SMLZ's 2 items in the mid lane. We've nearly got 2 items on Scout trying to match Doinby, who's sitting happily with that Luden's Echo. And even in the top lane, despite the CS advantage for Ray, he's not really been able to do too much for it outside of keep that Ornn busy. But given enough time, Ornn's going to become a massive tank anyways.
I actually think we're at a point in the game where Rogue Warriors could start looking for those team fights. We look towards Doinby's items briefly just there. He's got the flat magic penetration, and Haro is the only member of EDG that can really contest that with any kind of magic resistance. So he's actually at a point in the game at level 13, which means he has 5 points in his Q and his W, where he will one-hit carries. That's how strong he is at 19 minutes in.
Yeah, and it reminds me of last time EDG went towards, just trying to find any advantage, when they tried to put Ray on towards a Bruiser and tried to play on split push side lane. They had a great early game around his Riven, but then obviously time went on and they couldn't clean up the game.
The target is Scout. He realm warps backwards away from the Abyssal Voyage to safety. And is now teleporting and the Stand United, but they're chasing onto Mouse. He's got the Call of the Forge God, uses it for a 2-man knockup, gets himself the shield and buys a lot of time, but the bottom tier 2 was taken by EDG.
They're doing Baron on
and Rogue
spawn.
Warriors, they are sitting on top of the Baron.
It should be a race just for either the inhibitor bottom lane. That's the only real trade you can make that makes any sort of sense.
EDG want to do both though. They're going to try and get here in time. You can see it's at half health and they're pushing the bottom lane. It'll be an inhibitor, but can Rogue Warriors make the play?
Scryer's Bloom. That's the attack over the wall.
Oh!
Shockwave has killed the jungler. The inhibitor turret is down, and Rogue Warriors finish off the Baron. Empowered recall to get back to base, and EDG will have to let that go. Ray doesn't quite have enough to finish it off. Backs it away.
Look, this is when you start pulling up the FlyQuest VODs and say, do it right if you're going to do it at all. If you're going to commit that many members bottom lane, at least go hard in the paint. They try and split it up. Gragas gets torn to shreds because of the ultimate from Misfortune, and they lose everything.
At the end of the day, that was a big bluff from Rogue Warriors. They said, you won't continue to push in the bottom lane. We're going to make you come over to us to the Baron. And I agree, EDG, they could have kept more members down there. That would have been a free inhibitor as a trade in the end. But what it is, it's a Baron and a kill for Rogue Warriors, only losing the turrets.
And I don't know how you're going to stop Rogue Warriors' push here, because just putting the, all the information down there, EDG could have tried to even get Nexus turret, just one of them. So that would have been a hard advantage bottom lane with a super minion being pounded down there. Well, you have a Camille who could split push. So while you would lose the Baron trade, you'd actually be better off in the long run if they can hold it down. EDG get nothing unless if Camille trying to backdoor that inhibitor.
Now we're starting to see how scary the Rogue Warriors composition is as they group up and start trying to break down that turret. Half health on a tier 2 with only a single minion wave, and here comes the cannon minion. iBoy is doing damage with that True Shot Barrage, was able to chunk it out, but the Ocean Dragon Rogue Warriors take tops them back up, and now the push continues. Mouse will group with his team, and that leaves Ray in a side lane alone once again.
The moment they see Ray on this lane, they will go all in on this dodge.
It seems though it might be all in regardless.
Rogue
the wave
Warriors
is slowly getting cleared
they
out.
see him. I mean, they're a predictable team, Rogue Warriors. You know full well that they see the Camille. They're going to try and make the plays happen if they can. But for what it's worth, the way EDG have navigated this counter push, iBoy has been hitting so many of his skill shots on carries and deterring them.
This is going to be the wave. Doinby doesn't have mana. It has to be now for Rogue Warriors.
There we go. Ooh, Arcane Shift out of the Shockwave. That's even a teleport coming in as Ray flanks behind them. Remember, there is no Shockwave. Doinby low health, low mana, flashes away, running for his life. The rest of our Rogue Warriors are going to fight over this. Already they've killed Scout in the front as Ray has died on the backside. Mako's going deep for Doinby. Finally, we'll get up to him as he's healed by Triumphant, saved by Kahlua. Rogue Warriors are the true 5-stack as EDG split and chase for the kills, and they are punished.
Just cosplaying Oliver Twist, they just wanted something. They wanted one damn kill, and they didn't even give it to them.
The smallest of health bars left for Doinby. He's able to get back to base, and he will survive. Can defend bottom while the rest of Rogue Warriors, they push forwards. SMLZ absolutely smashing Scout's health bar in that last fight, opens the floor, and gives them the free inhibitor.
And now EDG find themselves falling even farther behind. 3,500 gold. The next 8 minion waves are going to keep that mid lane busy, though. Now, if EDG can weather that storm, that does give a lot of gold into their pockets.
And here's the thing. One door that EDG was trying to open was in the poking strategy from Ezreal. That's how this fight kind of got started, was Orianna losing a lot of HP through to the Ezreal. Now, wonderfully so as we look through the replay, Orianna got out of there with the help of Tom Kench. The rest of them got shredded with the help of Misfortune Ultimate, and it just didn't work.
And what's important to note is that EDG flashed forwards to kill Doinby. They forced so hard to try and kill an Orianna that had no health and no mana. They could have taken the 4v5, but instead of taking that fight, they choose to get the quick kill, and that is what ultimately kills them in the end. SMLZ's ultimate hitting Scout is because he tried to flash and bind them down.
And the point I was trying to make with Ezreal being their key point in this game, getting an awful lot of Qs in the poke, 2 Ocean Dragons for Rogue Warriors, so even that door is starting to close.
And you could see the effect of that regeneration, keeping Doinby alive throughout the course of that trade. One auto attack was all that it took from Mako. If he had just been half an instant faster, that would have been a dead Doinby and at least something. But now, Rogue Warriors are pushing up once again. They don't have Baron, but they don't quite need it. So they're pushing up to a tier 2, and EDG, they might be trying to base race.
Nah, they got a recall, man. You can't base race against 5 members of Rogue Warriors. This is going to be a big play attempt from EDG.
Yeah, you can't tell them what to do. This is the only opportunity they have.
They finish and take the tier 2, pushing up to the inhibitor right now, and Rogue Warriors, they are going to call EDG's bluff yet again. Lots of bullets going to hit Haro as he makes his way back, but the inhib already being broken down. The turret has been taken, and it's 8 seconds for Rogue Warriors to make it back.
They should stop the ports. They should get an inhib at least for free here. If they're able to stop ports, there's a chance they transit through the base to get a second, but Mouse has already returned. And so at the end of the day, that is an inhib trade, but when you really think about that, that's 2 inhibs gone from EDG. And that only really deters the last remaining inhib for Rogue Warriors to push, because they now have to push through supers.
That lane choice, bit of a tragedy, but something desperate for EDG to try to get back into this. Again, we know they're a mid-game control team. Their team fighting has been lacking lately, and Rogue Warriors bring that in spades as, whoa, there they go.
Here's a good call from Rogue Warriors. Push with your top lane. Because the last thing you want is be pushing against a super minion wave across the map, because we already saw what strategy EDG is employing, sending out Camille to the top side anywhere that isn't where Rogue Warriors is. So now the super minion wave will only really just slow them down in trying to get the tower. At the end of the day right now, EDG need to find something else. They're going to try team fights, but you already saw what happened last time around.
It's going to be real tough for EDG as Rogue Warriors, again, they just stack up. They know they've got super minions in that mid and bottom lane, and now that they've cleared out the other supers, they take the final tier 2 of EDG.
Ray again.
Ray could be looking for the back door to try and take an inhibitor, but he's got no teleport, and again, it's 8 seconds to make it back to base.
He's just hoping that Rogue Warriors don't all in now, because now they only get vision of Camille and the inhibitor.
This seems like a desperate swing from EDG to
They're
try
not
to
going to
get
recall.
anything.
They're actually going to push you. You might see the Ornhorn immediately going to scare them away, scatter EDG. It's still a worthwhile trade if Rogue Warriors go for the 3 inhibs. Double supers is going to be massive against their opponents here.
That's the recall. Again, 2 supers have stacked up in the mid lane. They might even be able to push for a Nexus here as it's a Nexus turret. It's 30 seconds for Baron, and they have got complete map control.
A super minion just stopped Camille's base.
No.
She's not going to be here for this.
And it seems like Rogue Warriors know this. They push onto the Nexus turret. Smite brings it low, but the turret does go down. EDG, they are trading wildly just to get onto the board, and they are hemorrhaging.
This is it for EDG. They have to take the fight immediately or they just lose this game. Doinby running low on mana. SMLZ has been poked down. You can see EDG, they're going to try and prevent the supers from coming in. They bought themselves 30 seconds, and they might have been able to force their opponents away.
You can see what's making them a little bit more afraid of ending the game. Even though they have the Tahm Kench available, the issue is that you don't want SMLZ and Doinby getting flanked, and that's all EDG is doing right now. Constantly sending Ray and Scout inside positions.
And as the Baron spawns, Rogue Warriors will get a chance to complete a recall with Doinby and Killua. Hopefully to get him back with that Abyssal Voyage, as again, double super minions are going to start pushing in through these side lanes, and EDG are desperate to claim control over the Baron.
But towards that point, I think the concern here for Rogue Warriors is there is only 1 wave of super minions that were doubled up that are going to crash.
Yeah.
The mid lane inhib is now alive again, about 5 odd seconds. So it's just going to be these single supers now in the top and bottom lanes. But you can see the wave that is stacked. That is the furthest away point from Baron, and now is the opportunity for Rogue Warriors to just hit it immediately.
I don't know if you could take this.
Ray's going to lose.
That's a lot of damage. 190 damage. Attack damage with that.
He can't even teleport because of how much damage they dealt.
They're turning onto the Baron. Realm Warp to get EDG behind them. Haro is deep behind enemy lines. I don't know if he's been spotted. There are pings onto him, question mark pings. Mako's on the far side. They're all around the Baron pit, but they're going to try to force the fight onto iBoy. Call to the Forge God. He flashes away.
Slowing down the time. Good job from EDG. Pulled them away from Baron. And Haro understands their only option is to go back to the Purple Worm.
He's doing his best to be a human ward. He knows he's got one job. Hands off the keyboard. But oh no, they're going to scout him out. The command attack Haro has been spotted. There's the slow with Dissonance. Shockwave will miss. He's going to try to buy some time here. There's a teleport from Ray to join up with his team in the Baron pit. Flawless tries to stop this as so much is being thrown to try and save Haro, but he's dead regardless.
Yeah. Get back, you animals.
not going to be able to save him. Now Ray actually caught out as well.
Going over the wall with that hook shot means Flawless can get a few autos, but the jungler is dead. Baron stands in front of Rogue Warriors, and 2 inhibitors are still down. They turn onto it.
Still got to fight here. EDG, they have no choice. They have to take the fight. iBoy's going to have to pull out a heroic effort with Scout, but Rogue Warriors, they're grouped inside the pit.
That's the flash taunt. They all go in. Ray tries to get out of there. SMLZ backs out of the pit, fires across a hail of bullets as Mako in low. And the Scout will try to pick up the Baron by Rogue Warriors. iBoy firing across. Killua goes down and will be able to trade it over. Mouse over the wall as Ray gets back up. Shockwave pulls him back in. iBoy eats a headbutt. Scout's looking to follow it up. As you said, the snare. He's trying to go one against the world, but Rogue Warriors kiting it out as best they can. Mouse will end up going down.
These are long death timers. 50 seconds on Mouse and 25 on Killua. And while sure, iBoy is dead, so they can't actually just end up pushing out with their AD carry, but it is a great sigh of relief for EDG that they're even anywhere near close in this game.
Yeah, they're able to buy themselves a lot of time here, EDG, and time is exactly what they need. They've got the Rise scaling, they've got the Ezreal getting towards 3 items, now pushing for 4. And whilst they don't get the Baron, and there is still going to be Baron-empowered supers crashing towards you, if nothing else, they bought themselves a minute to 2 minutes. And EDG, if this was a 5v5, they probably win this.
Yeah, and just take a look at iBoy's position, because he understands where Misfortune is, cannot join the fight because of the flank from Camille. So iBoy pushes the AD carry away. He goes in a little bit too, because he sees his opportunity to jump in. Orianna really demolishes him once he's over the wall. That's what does him in. But I liked what I saw from iBoy in the team fight.
Already showing some great positioning improvement over the beginning half of that team fight, just getting flung over by that Shockwave. Now EDG turn towards the Ocean Dragon to deny the triple Ocean Drake to Rogue Warriors. That would make their siege nigh unstoppable and get them on the board for that first dragon. But it's 30 seconds before that final inhibitor respawns, which means no more super minions, and EDG are trying to reclaim control.
I will say that Essence Shift was something beyond the word aggressive, and I can't quite work out what that word would be, Raz, because he could have went backwards and lived.
That's
and
true.
I think if he survived, EDG could have had the possibilities to do something else, but I do respect the zest.
He went for the Raz play. I appreciate that.
I don't.
20% of the time it works.
Every time.
20% of the time, every time. Oh boy, but Ray, he's looking for the back door again. Spotted out this time as he clears out one ward, but Rogue Warriors right back down. They've still got the Baron buff for 90 seconds.
He's got a teleport.
That's actually Scout teleporting in. Ray is still sitting inside of the enemy base. He completed his own Shockwave onto 2. They found it. They're going to drop the bullet time. What could be the end time for EDG as they're running back to the fountain. The wave gets cleared out. Doinby looking for the kills. Finds one. Ray back up. He's got the ultimatum, but is knocked up. Doinby saved out of the ultimatum. And iBoy still firing across.
Dead.
Scout in the back line has died, and the Nexus is laying bare. Rogue Warriors simply pushing the team fight to EDG's Nexus. No more dancing around. Ray goes in, but SMLZ finishes it off. Rogue Warriors take game 1.
Trying to push them through, and one thing that was so crucial was the ward within the red side jungle that caught Camille out. That was the first time a ward was actually placed defensively to see a Camille coming in for the inhibitor. So the moment she gets caught out, the fight gets pushed forward. Only one Nexus turret to defend the Nexus itself, so needed to recall early. Good play from EDG when falling behind, but easy pickings for Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, EDG were scattering themselves in an attempt to reroute Rogue Warriors, to force them into macro decisions they didn't want to make. And Rogue Warriors, they saw that. They said, why would we do anything other than 5-man group as a unit when you have mismatched numbers? Take the engages, take the fights, and ultimately win the game from that. And a lot of this game, when you really think about it, was decided at bang on 20 minutes in the game, where both teams choose to make a big play. Rogue Warriors get the Baron and don't lose the inhib. That sets them up to succeed.
But even in that we were seeing EDG making these wild decisions to split a tier 2 as the Baron is left undefended on the other side of the map, to send Ray and Scout to try to backdoor the Rogue Warriors base when there's a 5-stack of Rogue Warriors battering down the base of EDG. Clearly they stuck and committed to the decision making. It nearly got them back into the game, but I don't think that's what we expected at all for EDG to be at that much of a deficit to begin with.
Yeah. The deficit point is definitely important, and I think the key to that was Scout at the end of the day. We needed to see him be able to get out of lane and move towards the side lane, specifically top side, since they were heavily investing in towards the Ray, and they were finding it so damn difficult to get the kill on towards the Ornn. Ornn went so heavily in towards armor because he didn't have to worry about the Rise for a good majority of the game. I would have loved to see Ray, if he got an opportunity to leave the lane, maybe get call for help from Haro if you need to be able to find that opening top
So
side.
the thing is, towards that point as well, I feel like from the moment they used the Herald bottom to empower Ray further, that could have been the mid turret gone. That could have been like what we were saying during the game, the opening up of Scout onto the map. And then Scout, instead of Haro, could have went to the bottom lane, or at the top lane, assisted Ray, I should say, in the side lane. And they both have teleport, so they can kill Mouse, they can rotate, help their team, and counterplay. But it was the opposite of that actually happened, and tragically, that was what opened the door to Rogue Warrior.
Funny enough, that is a mistake that RNG found themselves in 2017, that they would so heavily invest towards the side lane if they find themselves with a Camille, that they would forget about the rest of the map. And so, in this game, there's a lot of times, and we mentioned the Rift Herald. In fact, I'm okay if you place Rift Herald bottom lane if you immediately move the Gragas and Camille mid lane so you can open up that tower. A lot of times they're like, actually, we're just going to chip this tower down. Camille could do that on her own anyways if she ever finds herself in side lane. But I'm going to help you because I'm a Gragas and I don't know what to do. So I would have really enjoyed it if EDG just used Camille's lead a little bit more liberally around the map.
Yeah, and that to exacerbate that even further, I think this is the first time in a long time where we can look at EDG and say they just played a game that wasn't completely focused around the bottom lane, around iBoy and Mako. They sent Haro top time and again. They used that Rift Herald top, just weren't able to convert that top pressure into anything else.
That was a question that we had with EDG when they picked up Ray. You know, they threw Mouse.
He's a carry player.
Exactly. They said for Mouse, of course, being picked up by Rogue Warriors, it meant that they can have the availability of picking towards a Jace, a Jarvan top lane. In this case, we got to see him play the Camille top. That's nice and all, and you have to see them play that a lot more often, practice in that one, because I think the practice wasn't there for it, and it puts Ray in an awkward position where he has that one game, and obviously it's like, that was poor. We couldn't support you properly. Now we're going to be playing tanks in the top lane a little bit more.
And with Ray, his most played champions in this split at the moment are Kennen and Darius. And I think both of those champions do a similar thing in the side lanes to the Camille, but they also have a bit more of a semblance when it comes to team fighting capabilities. Now, Camille still can team fight with the use of the ultimate for certain, but it's very obvious what a Kennen and what a Darius can do in a team fight, right? Press your R button, get resets, or press your R button and slice everyone to death. Whereas the Camille is execution heavy with the rest of your team, and I feel like that was a part of the faltering.
Yeah, and I'd say, you know, take some notes off Amazing J. I think Amazing J, with Camille coming back into the meta, you find real comfort there because he gets advantages off the Camille when they play towards the top side. And he oftentimes, in fact, he only looks to commit in flanks for the team fights or looking mid so heavily that he never just tunnels in on the lane, and I think that's something that we would have liked to have seen for EDG.
Well, speaking of tunneling, we've actually got that fight in which we got to see EDG do just that in trying to chase down Doinby. It was finally Ray coming in for the flank, coming in for the teleport, but Rogue Warriors split EDG apart, take these kills one by one.
I want to see whose point of view we're looking at. Are we going to be seeing Orianna run her life away? No, we're not going to be seeing the real... Wait a minute!
Yeah, you are.
Take the camera away! We know what happens here!
Oh, 71 HP!
We get to see it again.
That's hilarious. I love it, you know, no matter what. The strategy was straight through mid lane, but I guess the man who made that great escape ends up getting man of the match.
Killua was the clutch king, but Doinby was also the man hitting the shockwaves and dealing a lot of his team's damage. 43%. Now, Trundle, I think, barely crested over 1,000 in terms of the damage that he dealt. He wasn't really there to deal damage. He was there for the pillar, for utility. It was Doinby that had to hit it home. And it was also Rogue Warriors that got a lead pretty much bang on 20 minutes in the game with an Orianna that built mid-game and a Misfortune that built mid-game. So naturally, those two were going to put in most of the work, and they did.
A lot of onus of the composition had to be on Orianna to be able to zone the rest of the team because they didn't have a dedicated engage if Ornn had to play side lane. And so we got to see the zoning come through from Doinby, the damage he was able to land a lot of the times, and the protection he had on Misfortune whenever she got engaged on by the Camille. So really well done from Doinby.
As to be expected, Rogue Warriors know how to play around their carries. The question is, though, can they do that in Game 2? We're going to go ahead and take a quick break while we get that ready for you, but don't go anywhere. The LPL is going to be right back.
登峰造极，方可声名远扬。侠盗勇士志在威震四方。
When I get old, I remember this day when we scrolled and just felt okay with nothing I've been done. No, nothing's really done today. Oh yeah. beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Feeling breezy and easy. It's a beautiful day. Oh, and I'm gonna be just fine. Yeah. It's a beautiful day. Oh, and I'm gonna be just fine. It's a beautiful day. Oh, and I'm gonna be just fine. Yeah. It's a beautiful day. And I'm gonna be.
上一次我们输给 EDG 了嘛，然后这一次我们面对他们，我觉得上一次是我们可能准备的不够充分，然后我们打的可能也不够好吧。这次我们在面对他的话，我们会努力打出自己的水平的，尽力战胜他们的。然后全志愿选手的话，因为我跟他比较熟嘛，然后我们也经常交流吧，然后他最近打得越来越好了嘛，我觉得跟他交手的话也会是一段很不错的经历吧。
Mouse talking about playing against former ally and benchmate back in the old days of 2016 of Ray, saying that they are pretty good friends. Well, now they're clashing on stage, and Ray, he tried to flex on Mouse.
Oh, and he did.
I'm not sure who got the better of that, though, because Mouse was able to hold his turret for so long. It took Haro to dive, it took Scout to dive to finally put Ray down.
Look, here's the trick to any single top laner that feels like they're going to get a one-on-one. They're like, I'm finally facing, wait a minute, why'd you bring friends?
Never a one-on-one.
Why'd you bring your cousins along?
Never
I thought it was just between the both of us. It never happens that way, and it felt like Mouse realized very quickly that he brought the entire team.
The last time we were this excited about potentially a 1v1, we looked at Uzi against JackeyLove. We were like, guys, this is legit.
It's the one.
And then Uzi lane swapped. And it's no longer legit. So you never get what you want when it comes to matchups anymore.
iBoy versus JackeyLove. Game 1, they played mages. Who does that? When you're two of the best marksmen in the league, in the world, and then you play mages in Game 1. Anyways, we got our marksmen in this Game 1, where SMLZ, to come back to that conversation, proved, hey, he had a really strong laning phase against iBoy, and if we're having a conversation for who's second best behind Uzi, I think SMLZ just made a pretty strong case.
I will say we didn't get much of a laning interaction between both of them. It was an Ezreal against a Misfortune, so one of them will always win that. The draft was a pretty big deciding factor in the bottom lane laning phase. EDG also stylistically avoided that lane. So at the end of the day, maybe SMLZ did put the foot down, say that I'm a top 2 AD carry in our league, but it's not like iBoy was fighting back. He didn't get a choice from draft.
Exactly. And remember, even though Rogue Warriors bottom lane have been dying a few oftentimes in the bottom lane, requires the rest of the map to be able to achieve that goal. And on top of that, EDG have been getting 2v2 kills, especially versus Invictus Gaming. But if the Tahm Kench so much as hears you breathe, apparently gobbles you up and just heads on back home. So that was a Game 1 where you didn't get to see too much, and it was just SMLZ getting so much protection in that early phase.
Do you think Killua is just so in tune to SMLZ's breathing that he hears the sharp intake and then immediately flash gobbles?
I mean, that's
to
one way
it.
to take it.
You don't get many other options from SMLZ in terms of communication here, Dom. So I have a feeling the length of the breathing and the frequency of his breaths may indicate things for Killua.
I think that's something that we also have to talk about for Rogue Warriors, because their communication in these fights is so single-minded. They move as a 5-man unit. They move as a 5-stack. And EDG, I think we're starting to see that they are still moving as separate pieces. And when we did see that team fight in the mid lane, it was the comparison of those two styles that allowed Rogue Warriors to come out victorious, despite being the ones getting engaged upon.
Yeah, that team fight in particular, it was a little bit unfortunate from Shen's side. He probably thought it was going to be incredibly easy. He just needed that one extra auto attack, but when you tunnel in that heavily, you put yourself out of the fight as well as the Orianna.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him tunneling as well, right? It was EDG as a team tunneling on single kills. And I mean, the state of that game was pretty dire before the fight started. They were already pushing them down, and that was one of those big flank attempts from EDG to pull out the team fight miracle. They were bested in that fight. They were bested in the first game. And I think coming into the second one, strategically, EDG don't have a lot to be concerned about from the first. I respect that they tried to play topside, and I fully respect that that is a viable strategy when Ray is on your team. So I don't think EDG see that and say, never again. Let's never touch top again.
Well, that's a good question. What do we think EDG are going to do in this game, too? If playing top didn't work, and they've always been a bottom-centric team, do they just go back to that style?
I think, like, my issue is, sure, that's what they're more comfortable with. You can actually continue to play on that side. ultimately, I think that you can actually still run the same composition as long as you have mid lane priority. If you can free Scout up, that's your first important point. Yeah, get Scout out of the lane so he can actually help you out, because that composition needed help early on, and they couldn't get it from him.
Well, perhaps empowering that hero mid laner for EDG, one of the best Zoes in the world, could be the way to do it, but already you can see the Orianna Tom Kench ban outside of EDG. This is completely different from the Mundo Sivir.
A lot of protection taken out, and the locked-in champion says it all. Orianna locked Rise down in lane, so taking out the Orianna was more so early game, get me a better lane matchup. Rise is going to be a lot better off here.
So here's the thing, right? Rise is still going to be fine, but there are many shielding mages in the middle lane that might be able to defuse a Rise, and what you've foregone by banning Orianna is the big dock in the top lane. Mouse's Mighty Mundo is a possibility.
That's true. I'm curious because I'm looking at your mighty computer and I see a whole list of champions. Who do you think is going to be coming out of the mid lane?
Out of the mid lane? Yeah. I was thinking actually Karma is a possibility here. Because Doinby, he's one of the few players that will always flex towards that, with the recent changes to Athene's feeling maybe more confident in himself in the pick.
And
Lulu's his other one.
Here's my take on this, because I agree with that completely. In fact, a reasonable Doinby should go with the Lulu pick.
Reasonable, sure.
But if a Doinby becomes unreasonable, I want to see a Cassiopeia. Just because you have the Trundle pick here, you have the Rakan, so you can actually get so much out of your frontliners already. You don't need that necessarily. In fact, Doinby can, if he has a proper pushing bottom lane, has the support to place down control wards so he doesn't get walked on by enemy jungle. So if you place a Cassiopeia, this is the time to do it.
Well, we'll get to see what Doinby's going to take in a moment, I'm sure, but already we can see that EDG, they've got themselves that Rise back in the mid lane, but in addition, they've also got Haro on something a bit more comfortable. This Kindred, it's worked out for him in team fights. He's fairly proficient on that champion during the early laning phase, and Mako gets his signature Alistar. That said, Rogue Warriors, they're still feeling pretty comfortable with the Rakan Trundle, and now the Mundo.
Yeah, the Mundo getting locked in, but to your point about the Kindred, by far Haro's most comfortable champion to play has been the Kindred. He's been getting double MVPs in series when he's allowed the champion twice. So this is going to be interesting to see if Haro can now take control of the game, because he has a good matchup, and last game he was getting locked down.
And EDG also get 2 completely free bans this time around, where in game number 1 they were banning away top laners. Now they can focus the mid lane to empower Scout more. Now I very briefly mentioned Cassidy, and Doinby played it in his last couple of sets, and they're able to win that game, so it's always a possibility here. And when you think about the Rise matchup, Cassidy actually has a not so bad time. Now they're going to ban that one away, and I don't know where EDG will go after that ban, however. That's where things get very curious. That's an Kled is possible.
Exactly, that's an issue if you're going up against Rogue Warriors that, I mean, you take blue side, so you can actually have a lot of target bans. There's actually way too many target bans going up against Rogue Warriors, so you're right, they could actually take Kled here if they have a decent enough matchup here. Maybe Doinby can play a Yasuo, maybe that's going way too far because he's not played it yet. So, hey, you're successful with the Kassadin point. Maybe I'm a little bit successful with the Cassiopeia point. Here's fingers crossed.
It's Malzahar instead. Still another void-based champion ban out of EDG.
It has damage over time.
But now we're looking to see what the next picks are going to be for Rogue Warriors. They like to save that counter pick for Doinby often, but they already know that Rise probably going to the mid lane for Scout, which means that SMLZ could try to take a champ here.
Yeah, like Xayah. The first big thing that you could take away from this Rogue Warriors is that EDG chose to ban mid, not AD carry. Now, Ashe should be for the composition, but you've always got the Xayah Rakan as a potential duo. They opt away.
That's what I'm surprised about, actually. I feel like with the frontliners that you had, the Trundle pillar you can place down, Xayah, the one fear you have is the fact she's low range, so she can get opened up on. But in this composition, you have so much safety with the Rakan by your side, and the frontliners I've already mentioned, so moving away from that and doubling down in the CC with the Varus pick.
One hand off the keyboard as Lucian is the hover from EDG, one of iBoy's signature champions, and it will be locked in, something he's very comfortable on. So now we might get a chance to see a, to use your word, Raz, proper laning phase between SMLZ and iBoy to see who is actually the superior AD carry.
And look, I hope this game goes to 3 games because both of these AD carries are Lucian fanatics. I mean, iBoy is an incredible Lucian player, and SMLZ game after game has had those highlight moments in team fights when he gets the Essence Reaver built up. So both of these teams, now it seems like we get to see iBoy flex on Lucian. He can open up in side lanes versus Varus if he ever finds the opportunity.
They may be on the money with something like Cassiopeia when you look at Rogue Warriors' composition. I think something that has damage would be very good here.
Please!
And something that protects the Varus would be equally as strong. when Varus runs lethality builds at the moment. So I actually do think that that was the point where you could consider the cast, and it was of course locked in. Raz is actually getting his cords tangled and is about to fall over. That's how excited he is.
It's okay, I'm feeling myself a little bit too much.
Just happy to see Doinby on that carry champion again. But again, this is Doinby, one of the most flexible mid laners in the league. He's got a massive champion pool. He's known as the support mid laner, but he's also got that super carry flair. Now he gets that counter pick against Ryze, and we get to see a full 5-stack from both sides.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The Cassiopeia only gets unlocked by the fact that Rogue Warriors now have a proper pushing bottom lane. The Varus and Rakan allows them to open up for a fight whenever possible, but also has the range advantage so they can push up. I wonder what kind of Varus it's going to be, if it's going to be the lethal tempo Varus, or if it's going to be Comet lethality coming out of him. Ultimately, if you have the Trundle and the Miasma being placed down, I would favor the poking of Varus.
Yeah, 100%. And even just front to back, Rogue Warriors as a composition. And then you look at who they're against. So firstly, they're against a Kindred. The best way to beat Kindred is to poke her down, not all in on her, because she has got the ultimate. So when you think about that conceptually, Varus, perfect to build lethality. And then if EDG try and engage on you with the Alistar, Miasma to protect, Cassiopeia ultimate to protect, and the cleanse to ensure Doinby stays happy and healthy. They have such a good front-to-back composition here, Rogue Warriors, against their opponents.
So then we've got to get to the important question we asked before. With the early Ryze pickup for Scout and now the Kindred from Haro, have EDG set themselves up in such a way that they can unlock their hero mid laner, even if it is to focus bottom?
Once again, it's all on Haro.
Okay.
Haro with the Kindred pick has a good matchup into the Trundle, but the issue here is that the reason why I was talking up so heavily the Cassiopeia pick is because it felt so confident EDG's side that, you know, we've eliminated the Orianna. There's no such thing as a mid laner that can actually push in the Ryze anymore. That doesn't exist.
Level 2, how's a kill sound?
Exactly. So that's where the worry comes in. I favor Rogue Warriors here. Doesn't matter about the jungle pickup. Cassiopeia is too hard to control in that case. But if Haro can have a pop-off moment in the jungle matchup, can find an opening mid lane when Trundle is not there, then you have your answer.
And he has had those before, specifically as the Kindred, able to have some big highlight plays, Haro, for EDG. And a big part of their success does tend to hinge on their junglers' early game performances. And so when he does well, EDG seem to do well. And you may even be looking past that point. If they get through a good laning phase, I think flanks is a big thing here from them. A smarter rotations, using the Ryze ultimate, making plays with Mako, even like a dropship Alistar like we've seen from RNG before.
That said, we've now prepared to load onto the Rift. You just saw the two team flags, EDG and Rogue Warriors side by side. They're side by side in the standings. Now they're side by side on stage. It's time to hear from the crowd who's going to win this matchup.
I swear they got louder between games there, Rogue Warriors fans. Maybe some defectors from EDG converting towards the Church of SMLZ.
Giving it the old Raz, flip-flopping from one side to the other.
Hey, man. You got to be a Guang fan if you have an out. All right? If you're an EDG fan, you're like, wait a minute, but Mouse has moved over there. Maybe I'm just a
still,
Mouse.
yeah, still committed to the organization. I see. It's just franchise player, just not currently in the franchise.
I don't know if you're a franchise player if you leave the franchise.
LeBron James.
Oh, that's true.
Looks like we do see that lethal tempo on SMLZ. And standard phase rush out of both of those mid laners.
Yeah, I mean, so far, when you look through the runes comparatively to the last game, there's nothing exceptionally crazy to be seen. Phase rush is a nice thing to have for Scout as well. He's able to combo mage and get his way around the Rift.
Exactly, and to make a point of the Cassiopeia, we haven't seen her quite some time in the meta. Of course, Phase Rush makes a lot of sense just because the extra movement speed you have in kiting yourself back, throwing down Miasma, so whoever's trying to chase you just can't. And so, isolating matchups is what Cassio can do if you're a strong enough player.
That's the Gleaming Quill start from Killua as SMLZ is in lane. There's Doinby walking up with the Noxious Blast.
Yeah, a lot of this is set up for level 2. So when a Cassiopeia plays against a Ryze, if you're expending potions early, that's fine. Look at Flawless. He wants to make this happen early.
Scout steps up immediately, flashes the pillar.
At the very least, that's a guaranteed level 2 from Doinby as well. It's going to be on Scout to move on back because he doesn't have the flash available. So if you get hit by one Q from the Cassiopeia, you get run down.
And a lot of this interaction while we are focusing on mid lane is because they both have phase rush, Doinby wants to hit the Q, hit a Twin Fang and a single auto attack, and he's going Speed Racer towards your face. Scout has to combo 3 spells and sprint away, but because Doinby's got Cleanse, you can't actually escape the Cassiopeia in that trade, and without Flash, you are just dead to right. So he now has to play infinitely more respectful than he would otherwise want to do, and that means he'll be using more mana in that laning phase and may get an inoptimal recall timing.
We'll see if that's going to be the case. Of course, it'll be up to the junglers to try and upset that if Doinby keeps this pressure on like he is. Haro went for top scuttle, but lost the coin flip 50-50. His mark spawned on the bottom scuttle as Flawless was already down there, so that will delay that just a bit. And here we can see Flawless making the best of that as he turns towards the Raptor camp. That's the pillar, that's the flash, immediate auto attack, Scout's going low, that's the phase rush, and Doinby has first blood.
And here's the thing, that's a standard play as a mid laner to help out your jungler in clearing sides so you can get an advantage. You're a mid laner that doesn't have flash and you're going up against a Trundle with pillar. That doesn't happen here. He went for it anyways and costed his life.
Scout's a bit of the cookie jar sometimes.
Yeah.
He's the best thing in the world, but only sometimes.
Doesn't even have
himself caught there. Now, Haro is on the other side of the map, so going towards the bottom side to place vision I think is understandable, but it wasn't ideal timing.
He's definitely having a raising cookie moment.
Oh, there's 2 chickens
Yeah.
alive.
Those 2 poor
They
baby
both
raptors.
did it to each other.
Yeah.
Who really won?
They're just sending messages to each other as Haro will be taking this Krugs, knows that he's got Ray pushing in top once again. And Haro very low health, don't think he can quite look for a gank up here as the wave crashes in, but all right now I'm sure Scout, he's probably feeling some tears, because he doesn't have a tier. Still sitting on only that Sapphire Crystal, whereas Doinby happy to start stacking up.
That's the thing. A much longer time for you to be able to stack up your tier because of that. Something that you ultimately have to worry about for Scout if he ever finds that opening now is going to be repeatedly pushed in. We saw this happening in game 1, and it's only going to happen once again.
And it looks like the Time Warp tonic to be seen from Doinby as well as the cookies, so he's going to be healing a lot more through the potions that he pops and getting move speed while the potions are active. But starting with that Corrupting Pot and having early laning phase strength, that's only going to exacerbate it further in the chase.
Very similar to game 1, honestly. This just means that Doinby wants to stay in lane as long as he can. Scout's issue here using his teleport because of the last play means he doesn't have a get out of lane free card.
Already that's the miasma, as Flawless might have been thinking for a gank, but Haro was there first, getting a slightly faster recall and path back out onto the map.
They both know where the other one is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they know. Flawless, he's still just... Oh, will show himself.
I'm looking at
they
you.
want to fight over the scuttle.
I know what you're trying to do,
There
son.
he goes. That's the mounting dread, and Haro will start things off.
Is it a mark on the scuttle?
It is a mark on the scuttle, yes. As SMLZ walks up, even bringing the bottom lane, SMLZ flashes the headbutt, pulverized. Killum is still there with the grand entrance, but they did get the panic reaction flash. Piercing arrow, knock up onto Mako. He's got flash ignite, double teleport. This is turning into an all-out brawl.
Oh, they're all in.
As Haro, he's going to be going forward, Flawless in front. He's going to be killed by Haro right away, and Doinby 1 versus 2, trying to get out of there. Mouse flashes away as SMLZ has died. Doinby looks for the kill, and will get it at the cost of his own life. And in the end, Haro will get his mark.
That's too high of a cost for Rogue Warriors. Ultimately, I liked what I saw there because I thought SMLZ got an exit strategy, stuck around a little bit too long, and got hooked in by the Darius. So Rogue Warriors were probably confident that the flank would come through, but they were being dealt with in the top side as well.
And that's the opposite of a front to back from Rogue Warriors this early into the game. They were routed, they were split into 2. So Haro does get the mark like you mentioned, Dom, and they're able to push bottom lane, control the 2v2 after that, which gives them good recalls and really good timing on controlling the state of the game.
Already EDG showing a different style from that game 1, and instead of playing towards Ray in the top side like we saw, stacking everything to the bottom lane, collapsing on Haro with Scout, collapsing with iBoy and Mako, and even getting Ray's teleport in there. Now Flawless is going to try to upset that again, but Scout did go for those tier 2 boots real quick.
Yes, he did.
And can absolutely book it away from that Trundle.
That was needed. One thing to make a point of is that they had a proper time on his flash as well, so it was just coming up, but knew that it wasn't there. So that would have been a great opening to be able to go for it. Now they have to commit to get his flash off before getting his life.
And you mentioned the boots. He's consciously gone towards that before even finishing his tier of the Goddess.
Yeah.
So during all of this time, Doinby, he's actually 2-1 on the Cats. He was able to outplay in that last little skirmish, and he's had his tier stacking from very early on into the piece here in this game. So whilst he survives another gank attempt, Scout, He is not the strongest, as hang on.
But look
Let's
at
go.
this. They know Doinby used his flash, but the flash pulverized headbutt. He cleanses, kiting it out on the miasma and will go down. Haro's low, but it's not enough. EDG, not only do they play to the bottom lane, but then they follow it up by unlocking mid.
Yeah, that's one way to open the door mid lane, is to literally just send the cow just
The whole
running in.
team, the cavalry. As Mako comes in on the Alistar.
So they knew that Lucian was going to be able to hold it down in the bottom lane. No threat from SMLZ and Killua to try and force the point for the pressure. So great play in mid lane, gets the kill on towards an unsuspecting Snake.
Yeah, the thing a lot of people don't know about Cassiopeia is that the W has to max range. So if they are in melee range of you when they drop, you can't actually miasma the ground. So the Alistar does get a free flash pulverize off. No counterplay available, sadly, for Doinby. He was just made to die by a nice ultimate from Scout. I gotta say.
Now EDG, they're trying to do the same thing again, sending the same two members. Mobies from that Alistar to unlock Mako, and Doinby is forced to hug his turret. Suddenly that lane advantage, not looking quite so fair anymore.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, the message has been sent and the vision is starting to get placed. So on this side right now, even though the lane is good for Doinby, he's getting pressured so heavily topside. It's nice to see what we were trying to echo in the pregame about Ray needed to take his vantage to the bottom side of the map actually happening. So Mouse not feeling the pressure, but now he is mentally because he needs to help the rest of his team. He's not taking the pressure himself.
Now, Haro's actually stepping up into this wave again, but Rogue Warriors, they're
Mako.
all there. The flash snare. Doinby is the target. Mako caught by the pillar. Haro tries to chase. Doinby kites it out.
big
The
fight.
AoE stacks up. iBoy comes in with the culling, but Lamb's respite forces Rogue Warriors onto the wrong side of the map. They're going to try and retreat to SMLZ. He is level 6 and can do some damage if he wants to step up.
they're
Chains
on.
of Corruption. They've managed to find Mako, but he uses a stopwatch. Killua looks for the Gleaming Quill, and Rogue Warriors get the chance to regroup and back it up. Unless they go back in. Flash from iBoy and Haro as they reset it. Mako with a two-man knock-up in the back. Killua on the front taking best he can, but Ray teleporting in. He's about to slam down. Flawless goes low, but Doinby finds a couple, and Ray will die. Rogue Warriors survive.
And Flawless with the smallest of health bars gets the Triumph proc back, gets all of his health back, and Rogue Warriors
All the red wars being placed towards the bottom side. all the red wards being placed towards the bottom side. That has the 3-kill advantage, and Rise to actually replace that vision, and it's so hard to do that.
Killua is just fighting over every single ward. They can even see Haro over the wall.
I think
That's why
afraid.
Flawless steps up. Mako's got Unbreakable Will, but doesn't want to use it unnecessarily as Rogue Warriors just keep stepping in, clearing out the vision, and creating a pathway bottom.
And Cassio has been freed up now, while Rise is left behind in the mid lane. In fact, they're going to play a different playbook. Try and catch the Rise. Don't know that he's basing right now, but trying to play it slow to see if Rise ends up coming through.
It's one of those things where they can at least feign towards the bottom lane, maybe threaten getting the gank off. If nothing else, Haro is visible during all of this time, and that's the 3-0 Kindred on the map.
Killua right over the wall, battle dances to safety. Rogue Warriors set the bait in the trap, but EDG don't take it.
And here's the thing, this is why it's so difficult for Rogue Warriors to open that up. It's because teleport on Rise, he doesn't have to take the road towards the bottom lane. In fact, he can play it simple, easy, TP when he's needed. And so that just makes it so EDG have double TP to help bottom lane.
Oh, they're on.
Hard.
That's SMLZ, but they turn instead onto iBoy. That's a teleport coming in from Mouse, another one. Going to be from Scout in the mid lane. Ray's actually taking red buff right now.
Oh, Ray's able to get himself the buff. Now, at the end of that trade, the biggest difference here is that Rogue Warriors can engage and they can disengage, but now they've brought the numbers over. Now Rogue Warriors are able to group up, whilst EDG threatens to get there first with the teleport. The second that was cancelled, tempo belonged to RW.
Yeah, one thing I would say, props to Ray holding his TP, so if a situation arises where Lucian didn't lose about 50% HP, they could have actually doubled down in that situation. Fortunately, it was just a great engage from Rogue Warriors bot side to actually just push them off the tower completely.
Now Scout and Haro are rushing for the Rift Herald on the other side of the map, but already Mouse is back out of base, and he seems to be making his way over in that direction. Rogue Warriors might be able to contest this, as Doinby is level 10, but Ray is already acting as a human bodyguard. That is not a school bully you want to meet in the hallways. As Doinby steps up, he's got flash, but Kappa is near the cleanse flash away from Ray. He's forced to flash away as Realm Warp. Ooh, will carry him to safety, but only just far enough. It's briefcase after briefcase as Mouse decides to chase his former teammate back. And the Rift Herald is denied by Rogue Warriors. SMLZ, he's got flash.
Oh, he's gonna try and
he's looking for it. He's looking for it. Oh, close.
That was fun. That was fun.
He got the minion though.
You can see Ray panicking at that point. Of course, the Miasma just pushing him away from his team, running away from the Mundo like Bills were chasing him. That was real fun from EDG side.
But we do have to commend Rogue Warriors for stalling EDG from claiming the tempo by taking that Rift Herald. Doinby, he does burn his summoner spells doing so, but now the Herald picked up by RW.
The true collector of the Rift Herald, naturally. It's a Rogue Warriors game, and so Flawless, you don't get a single thing. EDG, they're trading on the opposite side of the map, so they're going towards the turret, and that is a good thing. So what we have to explore is how do Rogue Warriors play around this as the counter play. Last game, EDG got the Rift Herald. They placed it in a side lane. The opportunity now belongs to Rogue Warriors to try and break mid.
And here's the thing. Never a fan of mid laners taking Rift Herald, simply because while it does give you a quicker back, you need the versatility of it. Cassiopeia is going to be held down mid lane, so you're almost guaranteed that it's going to be placed mid lane. Instead of you put it on towards Flawless, you can move topside, place it right now, if that's a situation that you would want to happen. Put it towards the mid lane.
Threat of it happening nonetheless.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that's unfortunate that it was Doinby that picks it up. Makes it harder for Rogue Warriors to play a little bit more elusively with it.
Usually, you know, my speculation with this is that Rogue Warriors, because they've done this since the first day we saw them play as a team.
Yes, they have.
My speculation with this is that when you're playing the jungler, often, oh god. You know what, we'll let this happen
Keep going. No, keep going.
When you're playing the jungler, you usually use your vision and your sweeper to clear the Herald pit, so then you take the Herald and you're not worried about losing that slot. My theory here is that Doinby doesn't place wards. Or sweep wards. It's that his team does it around him. So he can take the Herald and Flawless can keep the sweeper.
Mako forced a flash away, holds on to the Unbreakable, but that's a large engage now utilized and immediately. That's the Rift Herald used mid.
Not much of a wave here, so easily cleared out by Lucian, and now all eyes on towards Rift Herald, because Rogue Warriors, if they want to back it up, they need to use their bodies.
And that's what they're doing. Following in behind Shelly, they surf that Herald down the mid lane. It crests over the tier 1. And now EDG are trying to back away. The pillar forces iBoy to dash backwards, and that second charge takes half health. Now Scout's on the side. He's caught Flawless. Subjugate. They turn on to Mako, and they make him pay. Killua caught by the quickness, caught by the grand entrance. He's dead. Ray's flanking from behind. Meanwhile, they did trade by killing Killua.
They're going to be able to disengage here, Rogue Warriors, pretty successfully, actually. Killua going down, still in a 1-for-2 trade. You take those if you're Rogue Warriors. You got the charge off now. Ray, no teleport. He's about to be spotted going bottom. The opportunity's still there.
Flawless giving the old thumbs up along with SMLZ as they look for this tier 2 turret. iBoy with no culling is forced to sit back and watch it fall as Haro takes blue buff. Rogue Warriors again just group up and force EDG's hand.
And that's just the situation you're in if you're EDG, because at this point in the game, you can really open it up with just flanks, but who's going to be flanking here? The Alistar perhaps, but then you'd have to almost commit the ultimate from Rise to get the Alistar in the back. We saw that last time.
Or is it a 0-4 Rise?
That too.
Because that sounds pretty bad as well.
He has one purpose in life, and that's to get the W across. So the reason why it's so difficult now, you can see how hard it is for Mako to walk in, Miasma. And earlier before that, the Trundle Pillar. And if you really commit, then you get the engage from Killua's Rakan. So when they have a lead, how do they even get in?
I mean, you just saw the attempted teleport flank from Ray on the minimap. It was immediately spotted by Rogue Warriors and pinged away. They pulled in, picked up the kill onto Scout, and just walked back into the mid lane away from it. So that flank attempt didn't quite succeed, but like you guys said, he's got the Rise. There's possibility for it later, but that Cassiopeia is getting bigger.
The possibility is that Rise uses his ultimate to put an Alistar into their faces or into the flanks more than the Rise himself, which does mean they need to be standing next to each other, which is usually in a very defensive position behind a structure.
You don't want to send that Rise into the back line.
You don't want to send him anywhere. Currently, he's just been sent to the grey screen repeatedly since the start of this game. Rogue Warriors, they've mapped him out very well as well. This is not just EDG playing poorly or anything in this game. This is Rogue Warriors team fighting and making very smart decisions.
The setup has gotten much better from Rogue Warriors, that is, because one of the primary weaknesses of the team is the control wards not being placed down. Not an issue in this game.
Mako still has no flash, forced to use the Unbreakable Will as Miasma Pillar pins him into the corner. With that gone, even with only 3 minions, they push the tier 2 and break it down.
And it's so easy for them to do this, not based off their composition alone, but how many control wards they have in the red side jungle. So they can easily back up on that turret if they wanted to, move towards the mid lane wave, so it's EDG having to commit to the bottom lane. And even then, Cassio was in a flanking position, so what do you even do if you're EDG? It's completely been locked down by Rogue Warriors vision control.
Oh, g'day.
Mouse will deny Scout this red buff. Haro is trying to take that marked camp just below. Taking a look right there, he has now reached 4 marks. Yep. So gets that increased 75 range, which should help him in these team fights, but still, it's quite dicey when you consider the front-to-back threat that Rogue Warriors are presenting.
I mean, 575 range increase is massive for him when you're against a Rakan that's going to be engaging all the time. And being the Kindred in EDG's team composition, it's so crucial that you stay alive, firstly because you're fed, and secondly because you need to hit the ultimate when the rest of your team gets caught out of position. And for the comp of EDG, usually the Alistar will go in, the Darius will go in, and you need to get the stacks up to get the resets. And so Kindred's role here is actually super delicate, but very crucial.
I love how you slid that in there as if it's an eventuality that EDG will at some point have a carry get caught out of position. As Ray is forced to flash away from the pillar.
Yeah, like that, like that.
Rogue Warriors, again, they're pushing the tier 2. It's just following the checklist right now. They know they've got the team fight. They know that they're being clear and concise with the wards that they're denying to EDG.
Yeah, and the worst part about this is nothing is unpredictable in Rogue Warriors' side. You know, it's by the book, place down the wards. When a wave comes through, preferably a cannon wave, you can place down Miasma and Trundle Pillar, and your carry here, in this case iBoy, has no range to deal with it.
Oh my god, that pillar was sick.
Are you kidding?
Has been on point.
He just wedged him into the wall.
I didn't know there was terrain there.
There is now.
In between a pillar and the red pit. A book by Rise.
You hate to see that one. Either way, the pillars have been doing a lot of work this game. And it's not just the pillars, it's the combo of Flawless and Doinby. The second you place the pillar down, you put the Miasma down, and no one can escape, no one can flash to safety, and it forces a lot of things to be used. And we saw that was the reason the bottom lane turret got broken. That's the reason the top lane gets pressured so successfully. That's now a part of the reason why Rise has to immediately flash just in case, because he would have been stuck and completely removed off the map by Rogue Warriors if he stayed.
Now we do see Rogue Warriors affecting a recall, and despite all of the advantages we talk about for Rogue Warriors, 5 turrets to 2, it's still only about a 2,500 gold lead as the Baron spawns. EDG are just going to step up and deny this vision, though if EDG slip up and make a mistake again, the stakes have just gotten a whole lot higher as Flawless, Can't decide if he wants it or not. Yeah. Remember, Ray has no flash. That's the pillar pulling him back in. Ray forced to stand his ground and fight. Killa was right there. Grand entrance to zone. Chains of corruption. Sterix or no, he goes down.
So close to Baron too. Should be an easy decision from Rogue Warriors to just double down on it. TP on Mouse so he can stay in lane.
Scout's trying to stop him through all of this, and he does have a lot of strength in this lane. Note that it's only the Spectre's cowl on the Mundo. And now with no ultimate, Scout can keep him busy.
Rises the running
There's only so far you can run.
Yeah.
There's a turret now. What are you going to do? Step up. Go back to bottom.
But now Baron being started out by Rogue Warriors. Teleport coming in from Mouse. Doesn't need it, though.
EDG is definitely trying to fight this.
Now Ray, he's about to respawn in 6 seconds. He's got his own teleport back up again. The pillar is phenomenal. As Mako gets split off, Killua locks him up long enough and Rogue Warriors find the kill.
So smart. They knew that Haro was going to split off so he can try and deny
Haro's
the Baron.
Here, though. They have vision.
Realm Warp into the pit. Nobody follows. Haro steps forward. Flash doesn't get the steal. Baron picked up by Rogue Warriors and Haro. And Ray will go down.
The hope when Alistar was alive is simply either the steal or Kindred could find his way into the pit and deny Baron from ulting. Just keep it up for as long as possible so it's an easier 50-50. Not close because the moment Kindred moves away, the majority of the gold is on the Kindred. Easy fight for Rogue Warriors to turn.
And you can see Haro, he knew once he flashed into the pit, if I use my ultimate and there is 5 of them standing there, no one's going to touch the Baron. They're just going to kill me immediately. So they choose to back away the rest of EDG as best they can. Ray tragically goes down with the ship, puts his hands up and surrenders. I had to. And Rogue Warriors, they secure themselves the Baron buff pretty freely, honestly, in the end. And that just comes down to the combo that has been tried and true, tested from them, and is now Rogue Warriors approved.
Tested and Rogue Warriors approved. We have to see if we can get some more team stamps of approval onto this, as now the map is truly in Rogue Warriors' favor. 7,000 gold, where just a few moments ago it was 2.5 differing between these teams.
Yeah, absurd to even hear those words, let's say a few weeks back when it was Rogue Warriors that were touted as one of the worst teams of the top 4. The top 4 teams in the league, Rogue Warriors, not even spoken about. Since then, taking down RNG, and right now, about the 2-0 EDG, Rogue Warriors have gotten so much better since Rift Rivals.
It absolutely shows how hard this team wants victory, how hard this team wants playoffs. Doinby, in his first split in the LPL, took 2nd place in 2015 summer and only just missed Worlds. Now, with his new team of Rogue Warriors, his new super team, he's trying to reclaim that title.
And it just shows how smart they have gotten since that tournament above all else. They're now threatening with the Baron buff, the 2nd inhibitor of the game, most likely going to be secured by them. EDG have got all 5 members alive.
In the front, that's the Chains of Corruption. He goes down, 4-man knockup, but it's not enough. They're trying to stack the AoE. Ray goes deep along with Mako, but Doinby and SMLZ kite it out. They kill the damage threat, and plus the Lamb's Respite. Mouse bops a headbutt for the final kill. Rogue Warriors team fight it to victory. Thumbs up from the members of Rogue Warriors as they turn to the Nexus. And as you said, Raz, they're going to take the 2-0 over Edward Gaming in under 50 minutes of total gameplay.
And now they know, they just got a lesson as to why the Mundo is completely denied from Mouse, because when they have a lead, what stops that madman? Absolutely nothing. Got a revenge against his former team. Rogue Warriors' outstanding performance.
You can't have Fundo when Mouse has Mundo. So I'm
How
shipping
long
that.
have you been working on that
Absolutely about 5 seconds total.
Oh,
These
boy.
things come to me and I hate myself for it. But I don't hate Rogue Warriors for that performance because they looked outstanding with a clean 2-0. And there was only moments, really, when you look at this set, there was only moments where EDG kept up with them. Because most of the map, most of the game, it was just owned by the Rogue Warriors.
And what a world we live in where we can say that a team in its first year is so aggressively contesting the winningest team in LPL history.
And the fact that you listen to Mouse coming into Game 2, the interviews talking about last time the preparation wasn't there. Felt like they did their homework this time around.
Oh yeah.
We didn't even get to see iBoy at all in this game.
No, we didn't even really see SMLZ all that much. He wasn't a redeeming feature of the team here for the Rogue Warriors either. It wasn't necessary.
It was
they were
the
able to win
strategy.
without him.
Exactly, it was the strategy. Oftentimes when you see Rogue Warriors victory, it's off of hero moments of Doinby and SMLZ, and they oftentimes require that. This time, none of that. It was just Rogue Warriors based off of the compositions, playing very smart, very slow around the vision that they had. This is an EDG-esque performance that we're seeing at our RW.
If you're an EDG fan, not just for this set, but in general as you push towards playoffs, that's got to scare you. This is regular conference, remember. Now both of these teams are 1-1 reflected against each other through the conference results. And when you start pushing for those playoff spots, Rogue Warriors, they have just proven that it's not individual heroics anymore. It is team strategy that can take down a powerhouse like EDG. That is a scary thought to contend with if you're an EDG fan.
And to follow up on that, my quick maths was off, though it is now 1-1 in the head-to-head between these two teams. The way you break that tie, if it ever does come to a tie, is game time. It was 56 minutes, 57 total for Rogue Warriors to 2-0 Edward Gaming. So if it does come down to that, Rogue Warriors have just proven that they are absolutely a threat to EDG at the top of the West Conference.
Yeah, and one thing to notice right now, once we go back into inter-conference play, right now we're still in cross-conference, but Rogue Warriors taking the victory here, doing so well in the regular season, feels like unless if there's an absolute strong performance from EDG from here on out or Rogue Warriors falling short, they're almost guaranteed a top spot in the Western Conference. And that's really scary to see from Rogue Warriors to almost, I would say, secure their spot in semifinals. It's getting to that point, getting closer and closer to the road to playoffs, and it feels like Rogue Warriors are having a fantastic day.
Yeah, and I believe that with that victory, Rogue Warriors have just eliminated the possibility for WE to catch up to them. So the first team has now been eliminated from first place. Look, there's always a chance. The fact that I'm trying to celebrate is that we're getting down to the playoff weeks, and we've just now seen our first team get separated from the top of the pack.
It's always fun to get the numbers down like that. When you're going to the spring split, no, legitimately, you can see team after team get eliminated in terms of, you know, now we've
Can we get first? Can we get second? Can we still compete?
It's never happening. You see the video pieces of like the team saying, you know what, there's still hope. It's like,
Can we make the run? Yeah, I apologize. The second team, my producer just told me that Vici out of the East Conference has also just been eliminated a few of their sets ago. But still, we do have to talk about Rogue Warriors because right now, this is not the team that we sent to Rift Rivals that made a hero upset against all odds, though that upset might have inspired them. As we've said, this is a team that has continued to learn and grow. And if they are already one of the top 4 teams and they're still learning and growing, where's the ceiling?
That's the thing, because they have strong players. The fact that they got to that point is because of those players and the team fighting themselves. The always issue has been, you know, haven't been able to set themselves up to get to that point. They learned a hard lesson going into Rift Rivals because EDG taught them that with their first set going in. And then they learned a second lesson when they went up against KT, honestly, in Rift Rivals, and they got completely blasted, not through team fights, but just based off of map control. So it was hard lessons that they had to learn. It's nice that we get to see the international competitions come through to really teach you that. And I think that Rogue Warriors getting to this point really brings up the competition because it feels like now EDG have to get a little bit better if they have hope.
That's the thing, right? Like, I am all for celebrating Rogue Warriors after a 2-0 victory here today because they did look outstanding, but I do have to look at the other side of EDG because there were moments that are individual moments that shouldn't exist, that should just not happen, and they were what were ultimately giving advantages to Rogue Warriors. When Haro is on the top side jungle clearing Raptors and Scout decides, I will go and protect yours, 1v2 and dies without flash up, that's a mistake. That's something that shouldn't happen, and that is something that gives too much control to Rogue Warriors, and these things cascade. If you're against a good team, and you make small things like that as mistakes, they don't just capitalize on it. That 300 gold becomes 1,000, becomes pressure on a turret, ultimately becomes the game, and those are inexcusable things that EDG continue to do.
I think the catalyzing moment for that was the fight in the jungle of EDG, where we saw them attempt to find a pick onto Doinby, but it was Rogue Warriors' immaculate team fighting that denied it.
Yep, just remember, one thing that Rogue Warriors have done excellently this series is just being able to get the timers down and understanding which team member is eliminated. Haro eliminated from this fight, so even though EDG seemed comfortable enough, Haro's like, I don't know, you guys better do a good enough job in this before I even join here. So you can see Rogue Warriors recognizing that weakness, going all in, and you can see that it paid dividends.
Yeah, and if Haro's eliminated from a fight, he was the member of the team with kills. So they were relying on Ray perhaps getting some resets on the backside, but even then, that was picking up the slack to maybe get the scraps on the backside of a lost fight. And that was a re-engage from EDG trying to route their opponents, who they definitely overreached for, but I can understand that instance from EDG. There was 2 people completely split from their team in their own jungle. I think EDG made the correct call. They just definitely messed up the execution due to another amazing pillar.
Yeah, I mean, those pillars from Flawless were on point, finding people pinned against the wall time and again. I think he was able to find terrain when terrain didn't actually exist a couple of times.
Yep.
He actually takes our MVP at 2, 1, and 12. Look at the damage percentage. Who needs a damage percentage when you got a smile like that and the pillars to back it up?
I mean, there's no pillar percentage in there, so
Yeah.
tragically for him, the stats don't fully reflect the amount of work that he did. And that's the thing. They drafted a Cassiopeia Trundle. They had a sick composition for picking people off. And even if you add the rest of the roster, there's a Rakan and a Varus in the bottom lane. That's going to do a lot of work as a 5v5, even a 4v4 if Darius isn't there. So Rogue Warriors, they had a comp, they played the comp, they executed on it brilliantly, and they're able to make EDG look like the fools.
Yes. I think that one point that EDG will look back on throughout the series is that they had such a large focus on towards Ryze mid lane that ultimately they lost throughout push potential. They felt like the push wasn't necessary, and they really realized at the end of the series that Doinb had it completely
locked down.
And so that's a worry here if you're EDG. A lesson you'll learn is that you have to look at the draft a little bit closely.
Yeah, and hopefully that's something that they can take going forward. Again, we talk about Scout being a bit of a double-edged blade for the team. Sometimes he pops off and has those crazy hero moments. Sometimes they get denied. We hyped his Zoe play, but we saw Yagao actually get to take a Yasuo counter into that. So could this be the beginning of a new era for EDG, one in which Mako is the veteran and captain, but also perhaps a slightly weaker EDG? Because again, they were 0-3 going into this. That's the first time that's ever happened for this org. Now they're 0-4.
Look, I think they recognize that this is the weakest we've seen from EDG historically, because they are bringing in new blood. Haro, most certainly, even though this is a much more competent split from him, his spring split was just poor. And so they need to be able to bring up their new jungler. They need to be able to bring up iBoy a little bit more comfortably in a new environment, and of course make Ray feel comfortable because he's a carry player that's once again now put in a situation where he can only play tanks. So right now EDG are in a rebuilding period, and a non-rebuilding split. You have to take this team to Worlds potentially, and it feels real rough for EDG.
I definitely interpret this set as EDG have acknowledged that something is going wrong for them. This isn't just a fourth loss in a row from the exact same problems that they've had throughout this split, right? This was definitely a different style or attempt of a different style from EDG, and that's either that this has been working in scrims, or that they knew that the current strategy wasn't working, so they did something different that could potentially work and didn't. So I do think that EDG are fully aware. I just don't know how quickly they'll get back up to their 100% again.
Well, they've only got a few weeks left to try and lock that down. Let's take a look at the standings, because as playoffs inch ever closer, these points are worth more and more. Rogue Warriors now eliminate WE from that first place contention entirely and are very close to doing the same to OMG and FPX.
And more importantly, 4 series behind from first place EDG. So it's Rogue Warriors that have really take that large step forward with this series win. So if you're Rogue Warriors, you know, start to settle down. Remember in Spring Split when it was the same for them, saying maybe look at our strategies a little bit more, prepare for playoffs once we get back into intra-conference play. You can do that now as Rogue Warriors.
Hey, you just got to hit it home strong, be consistent, be strong, and continue to improve yourself moving into playoffs. Because realistically, with the gap that they've got, that's sizable enough that they are our semifinals team, unless something goes crazily wrong. Whereas the other side of the map is conferences is absolutely absurdly close, and I have no idea how that's going to end.
It's all the fun about it. But in order to get some more insight into that, we still have a lot more League of Legends to go. Again, it's still only week 7. We've got some more games coming at you tomorrow as LGD take on Fun plus Phoenix, and BLG will get the chance to challenge WE. Amazing J versus 957, a rematch again.
I will say immediately the most important thing are for these teams trying to vie for 4th place spot, reasonably so LGD, Fun plus Phoenix, and BLG. So the first set is going to be super important to watch to see if LGD can punch above their weight and try and hit that 4th place spot, trying against Suning Gaming, where Fun plus Phoenix honestly are trying to get from TLP. So it's real fun to see which team actually takes that first step forward.
Certainly, and of course the organizational battle, the second one of the night, will just be exciting to watch because those orgs know each other very well.
Yeah, they certainly are, but that's going to do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this special Thursday evening broadcast on behalf of myself, my analyst, and co-casters. Good job, guys, and the whole production crew. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more LPL action.